tough.
Oh, we don't mess around with jock.
You don't mess
I got
around.
3 kids and a bunch of problems.
Quick glance at the scoreboard. Guru 2, Larry 1. Dibs not yet on the board, but Larry,
all right.
your board. We have franchise mobility for 3, and the other 2 categories 1, 2, and 3.
Let's go franchise mobility. I'm hot. I'm feeling it.
For 3 to complete the category. This franchise has now won NFL titles in Cleveland, St. Louis, and Los Angeles.
Guru.
Yes, Guru.
Who are the Rams?
Rams is right. Guru with 3 more gives him 5. As I said, that completes that category. Go.
Feats of mobility for 1, Whitey.
Okay. We actually have
Feats of utility. But
feats of utility. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Oh, utility.
Feats of, it's okay. It's
That's a
very-
lot of
Long
words in
weekend,
this
yeah.
one.
Yeah, my bad. Feats of utility for 1. In 1990, you saw him play 4 positions for the Padres, and today you see him hosting A's pregame shows. Who is Bip Roberts?
Oh, my God.
Bip Roberts.
Yeah, I hope he's not listening.
What is this A's you speak of?
Thank you.
Yeah, wow. Look at me, producer. He disappointed in all of us. Yeah.
Bip used to be on the show all the time. I hope Bip's not listening.
I was
Right,
going to
Skyline.
guess.
Wow.
I was guessing Townie, but that's the
Yeah,
the
I
only
had
one
it.
I
I
knew.
was thinking
Yeah.
Dallas Braden, but he was on the Padre.
All
right.
All right. So still your board. Goose, still your lead.
Streaks of futility for 2.
This team has not soared to the NFL playoffs since losing the AFC title game 11 years ago.
Guru.
Dibs.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru.
Who are the... Damn it.
Oh,
Miami
Dibs.
Dolphins.
Takes you down to 3. Sorry. Yes, Dibs.
Who are the Jets?
For the Jets. Yeah, a little bit of a clue in there.
Thought it was the Jags.
Yeah, so Dibs with 2 now, Guru with 3, Larry with 1. Tight.
Yeah.
tight.
Streaks of futility for 2, please.
That was for 2.
Oh, that
So
was.
1 and 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
streaks of futility for 1, please.
They changed their name, but can't change the fact that they haven't won the World Series in 73 years.
Guru.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru. Yes, Guru.
Who are the Minnesota Twins?
Dibs.
Oh, I'm sorry. It takes you down to 2. Yes, Dibs.
Who are the Cleveland Guardians?
Cleveland Guardians is right. 1 more for you, Dibs, with 3 now. You have the lead and the board.
Streaks of futility for 3, please.
Nope. Sorry. No. Hang on.
Okay, sorry. That's my fault.
This franchise has wandered in the desert since 1968, making it the oldest NBA franchise that has never won a championship.
Larry Dibs.
I think I heard. Was that Larry?
I think Larry was first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Larry.
Who's the Phoenix Suns?
That is correct, Larry. $3 gives you the lead with 4.
What's the score?
Yeah.
4-3-2.
4 for Larry, 3 for Dibs. You have 2. At one time you had 5, but I don't want to bring that up.
I'll go streaks of
too
futility
soon.
for 3.
It would be feats of utility for 2 or 3 remaining.
You're going 3?
3.
Feats of utility for 3.
Blow it all, Larry.
You
That's
found the
this
Dibley
round's
double.
Dibley double. So now, Larry comes out of this. How much do you wish to wager?
1.
$1. And
Has anybody ever gotten their ass kicked in the middle of this show?
Tempers have
Yeah,
flared,
yeah,
yes.
we had some
Got
shares.
pretty
Yeah.
close.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's really related to nothing.
It's a good question.
Apropos
It's a good
nothing.
question. I just
Welcome
want to
to
get
the
it out of the
family.
way.
Yeah.
Those damn
Since we're
chickens
talking
are
about,
everywhere.
first, all-time first.
In 2009, this Tampa Bay Ray played 91 games at second, 59 in right, 13 at short, 9 in left, 7 in center, 3 at first, and 1 at third.
Wow. No.
There we go. I wanted you to get it.
Who is Ben Zobrist?
Yeah, so
Ben
wow.
Zobrist. All right, only
Wow.
cost you $1. That was a wise wager.
very
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this completes this round. Feats of utility for 2. And here we go. In September of 1965, the A's Campy Campaneris became the first to play this many positions in a major league game.
Guru.
Dibs.
Oh, judges. That was very tight.
I think I got go.
Go.
Here we go. 7.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Dibs? Did you wait? You're okay.
Dibs.
Yes, Dibs.
What is 8?
Sorry, that's incorrect.
I was wrong.
Yeah,
with the question.
take you to 1. You want to scoop?
Why not? I'll go with 6.
No, I'm sorry. Also incorrect. He was the first to play 9 positions.
He played all 9, yeah.
He was the first to play
man.
9 positions
Yeah,
in
boy.
a major league game.
That's a
So,
bloodbath.
yeah, so here's where we are at the end of the Jockey round. Dibs 1, Larry 1, Goo 0. So it's still anybody's match. By the way, you are listening to 95.7 The Game.
You really
KG
are.
Yeah, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. always live on the Odyssey app. This is Jockberty. Get ready for the Dibley double round. Quite a match. How do you think Larry's playing so far,
He's
Jim?
playing great.
He's playing well.
Playing great.
Yeah.
I didn't expect edgy Larry, but I'm definitely those chickens are gonna have to watch.
I kind of shamed him into his last answer. I feel bad.
No,
He's
and
still right there.
I
think you should feel bad, actually.
Not that bad. But
What's wrong with my unit?
Totally.
Dibley double round. We have 2, $4, and $6 values. 2 Dibley doubles out there this round. And these are the categories: all-time home run leaders, football films for Kyler to study, and 90s Niners, which is a category to Kyle.
Wow.
So that's kind of you never know what Kyle's bringing. Could be a wild card there. All-time home run leaders, football films for Kyler to study, and 90s Niners. Guru, you trail just by 1, but you do trail. So you get to choose a category and kick us off here in the Dibley double round.
You know what? I love all 3 of these. Let's do football films for Kyler for 2.
2021's American Underdog tells the life story of this Hall of Fame quarterback.
Dibs.
Yes, Dibs.
Who is Kurt Warner?
Kurt Warner is right, Dibs. You now have 3 on the lead.
Football films for 4, please.
Home Team is a 2022 comedy starring Kevin James as this NFL coach during his 2012 Bountygate suspension. Pardon me.
Dibs.
Yes, Dibs.
Who is Sean Payton?
Sean Payton is right. 4 more gives you 7. And you're bored.
Let's close it out. Football films for 6, please.
As bartender turned NFL player Vince Papale in the movie Invincible, Mark Wahlberg wears the uniform of this NFL team.
Guru.
Judges,
Here you go.
go.
Who are the Philadelphia Eagles?
That is right. Well done. Gives you 6, Goo, and you're 1 behind now. 7 for Dibs, 6 for Goo, and Larry has the $1, and it's your board. We have all-time home run leaders, and we have 90s Niners, the category to Kyle left.
Let's do all-time home run leaders for 2, Whitey.
On the all-time home run list, he's the only active player in the top 10.
Dibs.
Yes, Dibs.
Who is Albert Pujols?
That is correct, Dibs. Well done. You've got $9.
All-time home run leaders for 4.
He ended his career just 4 homers shy of 700.
Larry.
Yes, Larry.
Who is A-Rod?
That is right, Larry. That's big.
Toughest part,
More
getting his
specific.
name.
4 more gives you 5, so you're in it here, right in the thick of it. Dibs 9,
Clutch.
Goo 6, Larry with 5. And Larry, your board, we have all-time home run leaders for 6. We have 90s Niners, the category to Kyle, the whole dang category.
I'll go 90s Niners for 3.
For
2, 4,
for
6.
2, 4,
Oh,
6.
4 for 4.
You're doing great, by the way.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
tough. He's
Yeah.
tough.
Really, really good.
Yeah. Here is Kyle Madsen.
Chew on this. He became the 49ers defensive coordinator in 1995, and now he's a head coach in their division.
Who is Pete Carroll?
You had to buzz in first,
Oh,
but that's
Larry.
good. Yeah.
Larry, who
Yeah,
is-
well done. Yeah, who is Pete Carroll is right. Hey, you're tied for the lead now. Hey, you're tied for the lead with 9.
Hi.
All right, I'll stay with 90s Niners for 6.
6.
Oh, he's found it.
Yes.
He's
This is
found the Dibley double.
the first of
Oh my!
of this round. This is crucial. You're tied currently for the lead, Larry. 90s Niners for 6. How much do you wish to wager?
2.
$2. All right, for $2. Once again, with your clue.
You could call him the
that's
king.
Go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah.
Did you? You could call him the king of backup quarterbacks after he went 3-1 in 4 starts for the 49ers in 1996.
Larry, who is Steve Bono?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is it, Kyle? It's actually
It's Elvis Grbac.
Elvis Grbac,
Yeah.
the king.
Oh, the
that
king.
was
Wow.
the clue was
Shoulda got that.
Yeah.
Shoulda got that.
Bang, bang.
Should have got it.
Dibs 9, Larry 7, Goose 6.
Correct. Still
Wide
your board,
We got a
Larry.
tight one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
90s Niners for 2 left, and all-time home run leaders for 6 left.
I'll go 90s Niners for 2.
Here once again to complete the categories, Kyle.
He's the 49ers' newest Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Guru. I think that do we have
I
to
gotta
go?
go.
Yeah, go.
Who? And I just wanted to
Loudest.
remind you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I
That's
know
right.
loud counted.
Little hater, it's a
Oh, wait,
little
hang on,
hater
hang
right
on.
on what I
Oh,
want.
yeah, there it is. Okay.
9 for Dibs, 8 for Goose, 7 for Larry. So who knows? Could come down to the wager and final Jockberty. But first, we have the final clue of this round.
Oh, you knew it. It had to be there. The second Dibley
Yes.
double Daryle Guru Johnson with a chance here to really take a stranglehold on this motherfather.
All-time home run leaders for 6.
Hello, friends.
How much do you wish to wager?
1.
1.
Third long, I'm running the ball, Larry.
Here's your clue.
It's a gun run. It's a gun run.
It's a total gun run. Don't give it to you, Chuck. We love you, Kyle.
That's a Jamichael Hasty special.
What about
Right. He's sending Williams in motion.
You ready for your clue?
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Barry Bonds and this guy are the 2 players in the all-time home run top 10 whose first and last names start with the same letter.
I don't know.
Got one? Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa.
It's a 3 for your Harry Carey.
Good wager, though, Goo. $1 takes you
Smart.
down. Yeah, to only 7. So you're right there as we go to Final Jeopardy. So here, Lair, you guys have to decide what you're going to wager. Don't tell anybody. The category is the best of Jimmy G. That's your category. Base your wager on the best of Jimmy G. Let's see. As we know here, Dibbs has 9, Guru 7, and Larry with 7. Another great match in the Jeopardy Summer Slam. So don't tell us what your wagers are, but let us know when you have your wagers decided, and we can go ahead and give the clue. You ready to go?
Yep.
Oh,
Yours? Yeah,
His-
Larry. you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll let
Wagers,
Kyle know.
yeah,
This game's so much better in person.
It really is.
I know. I know. All right.
Mhm.
Here is your clue. It's the only team against whom Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown 4 touchdown passes in a game twice. Good luck. You get a little time to think about this one. The only team against whom Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown 4 touchdown passes in a game twice. Got a little time to think this over. It's been, once again, an incredible match. Dibbs currently the leader with 9. He's tough to beat in these situations. Guru with 7. Larry Krueger in his debut has played very well, and he's definitely in the hunt here as we wrap up Final Jeopardy. So we'll start there. The only team against whom Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown 4 touchdown passes in a game twice. Larry, what do you got?
I'm
In the form of a question, please.
Please, this is serious.
Who
now,
are the
Larry.
New Orleans Saints?
Sorry, Larry, that's incorrect. What was your wager, sir?
2.
2. Okay, it takes you to 5. Over to Guru.
Oh, Lord. Who are the Arizona Cardinals?
That is correct, Larry.
Yeah!
And what was your wager?
All of it.
That gives you 14.
Come on, Dibbs.
And for the second day in a row, you have, at least briefly, the lead in Final Jeopardy.
No, that mean nothing.
Over to Dan Dibley. Dibbs, your response.
Who is New Orleans?
Oh, my
And your wager? Not that it matters, but your wager was Dibbs, just for the heck of it.
6.
Congratulations!
Good luck, baby. Wow. Yeah.
By the way, Larry Krueger.
Yeah, my good luck, Tony. What a match! Oh, man. Go figure. I
Great
still
job,
didn't get
Guru.
that Bonds and Sosa. I thought you said the player with him, his
Top
name
10.
started with a B.
No,
I thought that too.
first
I
and
It was a
last
little
initial.
confusing.
Yeah.
First initials. It was a little bit. I
Okay,
understand where you're
all
coming from.
right.
Same initials first.
Hey,
and
but I
last.
won. Hey, this was great.
No,
Yeah.
Arizona was the correct answer there.
Arizona Cardinals,
darn
yes.
it,
Yes, and he
'cause
did
I-
it, like
yeah.
2 weeks apart in the
Yeah.
2019 season.
Forgot all about that.
And
Yeah.
they were losing
Yeah.
one of those games, I believe, and he came
One
was
year,
dropping-
I think. Yeah.
Something was like pulling at me like it might have been a trick question.
There you go.
Like maybe
No
he did it
cheating
in one
either.
of his starts
Yeah.
with New England.
Well, he's only
Which-
done it against 2 teams, and you guys are New Orleans is the other team,
Right.
But he did it against Arizona twice.
Yeah, something was. I was thinking Arizona, and I thought, man, had to be.
It's
to be New
deceptive
Orleans.
because Arizona's owned them in
Yeah.
recent years. So
Yeah.
you're like, all right,
Yeah.
you kind of ruled out Arizona. I thought it was division. Then I'm like, I think we'll just go Saints.
Yeah.
A little analytics, Larry. We were doing this from remote, so I had a delay. So
you did not.
there was
Boy.
drama
You did
when I
not.
would
Oh,
go
boy.
first and wouldn't get credit for it. So I said, if in person I'm competitive, maybe there was something to it. And I got it done.
What does Gil win, by the way? Does he win anything?
No,
Just-
but you and I get
just a
some
satisfaction.
rice-a-roni and a copy of the home game, which is always nice.
Yeah, second place finish for Larry.
Oh,
Krueger.
No, it's a
wow.
great debut.
Well, thank you.
I thought he had it. Which one did you miss?
I missed quite a few, actually.
No, that last Niner one. Niners 90. I'm like, he got it. Which
Yeah.
one did he miss?
That was
Gerback.
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 Yeah. I thought
That's
that was
key.
Well, especially when you start talking about Niners QBs, and we ran through the list like last week or whatever. When you start going like between Jeff Garcia and Alex Smith, it's just a desert. And I mean, you remember all the guys. But
I'm trying to block it out. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's a 4.
Yeah. How'd you do it, Goo?
I feel good, relaxed. And
How did you do it today after that tough setback?
I'm trying to tell you,
on Friday.
I was just relaxed and feeling good. Just knowing there's no defective unit. I think I'm staying within myself.
Stop. You're better than that.
No,
You're better than that. It's really gets me because he's implying that he's the only one who is dealing with a work from home delay. I'm in a 700 square foot house where my internet was spotty, and I was able to win 83% of the time. But it was always Guru leaning on this. Oh, I'm on delay, and we could play the clip where you weren't on delay.
Wow. Especially baseball season.
Steiny.
Goo, Steiny. Thought he buzzed in first.
I'll tell you what, Larry, we got 3 hours. Regardless, don't judge me. It's already a good day for your boy.
Seriously.
Second.
You can't lose from here.
Yeah,
it's all downhill.
You want to play again tomorrow, Larry?
Let's
do
do
it tomorrow?
Yeah, I love
All
it.
right. What do you guys have coming up
Great
today,
job,
Goo?
boys.
Great job.
This whole Trey Lance thing, is it something or is it nothing? And then also the Giants still got action. And tonight I told Larry in the green room, I'm about to tell him, I thought I told him, it's like a playoff game tonight in San Diego.
It is.
And the Giants are a different team when everybody's back. And that's what we saw in two games against the A's.
Yeah.
So we get into
the
all
Padres
that.
have something to prove, too. They
And
got
KD,
humbled.
did you see the power move he's trying to pull? We'll
get it all up in
Yeah.
KD today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kevin
wow.
Durant. Yeah,
Hey,
stay
Larry.
tuned, 12-3.
As you know, August of 2010, it was actually August 25th. The Padres were 6.5 up on the Giants. And here we are. It's August, and the Padres 6.5 up on the Giants. It's 2010 all over again. Or not.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Something tells me that's not going down that way, but we'll see tonight.
And that team was 12 games above 500. This one's 2 games below. But as I mentioned to Whitey earlier, 9 games with San Diego remaining on the schedule. If you win 8 of the 9, you catch them in the card. But it feels to me like if you win 2 of the 3, you can at least pretend that your playoff hopes are still alive. If you sweep them, you're only 3.5 back of San Diego. You're in it.
It's go time because they just got worked by the Dodgers.
They did.
So
Both
they're going
teams.
to be
Blake
angry.
Snell, he can be had.
Yeah. They don't have Tatis back yet, and who knows what that
Could you
wrist
imagine
stuff-
this move and they don't make it? Oh my goodness, the Padres.
Seriously, they could fall out.
We've seen
They could
things
fall
like
out.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
By
That's
the way,
pressure.
Goo, everybody on the text line loving your victory, and everyone on the text line loving the chickens as well, Dibs. Very
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's I thought Larry was gonna maybe throw a left hook, and I'm always fearful of the right. And I know Larry's got a
I
strong
sent
left.
Steiny a
well.
text.
Right.
I couldn't wait for him to come back.
I am standing between Dibs and the door right now, so there's no way
yeah.
he.
Although I'm
he's gonna have
dealing
to
with
get around me.
an Achilles tendon injury right now, so I'm not as explosive getting out of here as I'd
He
like
got
to
hurt
be.
playing pickleball.
Yeah, not
We talked. I thought you
little.
were good.
Yeah, no, I am good. Just a little sore today.
Yeah.
I'm on the on the 7-day.
Not the rupture. Not
No,
the
no,
rupture.
no,
Achilles.
just a strain.
All right.
Just a strain.
Rupture might keep you from out of
You,
here.
you didn't injure your pickle, did you?
No,
Oh.
nor did I injure the ball. It's critical.
Don't talk about that.
The pickle in the ball. Although I did get hit in the head by the ball, but I was able to fight through it.
Nice.
And I make my fathers under who cares, Larry. Dibs got hurt running to first with his softball team.
Second to third.
Second to third. I make my debut Thursday in Pleasanton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where are you hitting
Position?
in the lineup?
Probably 4th or 5th. I call myself Sosa.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sosa, but you couldn't get Sosa.
Oh,
That
Look
still
at me.
was a tricky question.
It
Larry and I
was.
talk
I
about
was
it.
thinking- I was thinking
straightforward.
B.
It had to
I
be
was
with the
thinking-
B.
Yeah, I was thinking B.
Yeah.
Steiny and Goo are next. You got Larry Krueger in for Steiny right here on 95.7 The Game.
He brings the passion.
For what? I want to know now. I'm mentally invested. Don't tell me to pray and you don't say what for.
Great job. I need you to man up and say what you really want to say.
Simon, you're doing a great job.
And together, they're Steiny and Guru. Yeah. On 95.7 The Game.
I don't know if this is a good thing that I'm hosting, Larry, because I just got the dub, but you finished in second place. You are the lucky leprechaun for me. So I'm gonna call you the Celtic today if you don't mind. I won't. I'm just
You
playing.
got the Cowboy jersey going
Yeah,
today, huh?
you know, it's almost that time, and
Now,
we
whose
got
is that? What is that? Whose number's one?
me. I just because I'm so down on the players, I just said, you know what? Get Johnson on the back, number 1. That's it.
Could be a little Keyshawn maybe back in the day.
No, he was a pretty damn good receiver with not that much speed.
Right.
People sleep on Keyshawn. But speaking of Dallas, we have the great Mike Bassic from our sister station, 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. He does the afternoon show. He'll be joining us and ask me why, Larry.
Why is he joining us?
15 years ago today, Barry Bonds hit his immaculate home run that everybody's talking about, Larry. And he gave up the hit, what was it, number 756.
Wow.
Mike Bassic was on the mound. We'll kind of rub his face into it. He's probably done like 1,000 interviews about that. But Larry,
Where was that?
Yeah.
That Houston?
I want to say, I think it was at home. Help me out, Sterling.
Was that at home?
Yeah, it was at home.
Okay.
3rd and King.
That was a Dodger game. Was he pitching for the Dodgers?
That I don't know.
Okay, we'll have to look that one up. But
The Nationals.
Nationals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got all my right answers on Jockworthy, Larry, so you got to help me. And I got to tell you this. I thought we hit it off last week.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
was driving home, and then I hear you Friday with Alan, and I'm happy because we're all teammates. You guys were fantastic. I go, you know what? That Larry's a pretty cool dude. We got a lot to get to. We got Kevin Durant. He pulled the power play. I think he's going to win. We'll get into that. And then also the Warriors debuting. Did you see their new uniforms? Another edition
I
of
did.
the Run TMC. Mully showing the guns. We'll get into that. I always like a team, regardless of sport, Larry, to pay homage to the old school. And TMC, they don't get lost, but I don't think they get as much love as I think they deserve. Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullen, and they were incredible, man.
Mitch. Yeah. I love Tim Hardaway, man. Tim Hardaway was my guy back in the day. He was so brash.
He invented the crossover.
The crossover, but it wasn't just the crossover. It was the crossover that would leave guys by, he'd be 15 feet in the clear. I mean, my goodness, that crossover was nasty.
Now, last year, this time, I'm talking about Barry Bonds' 756 home run, Larry. Guys went out from the station, the Shaskys, Bontes, John Dickinsons, all you guys were there. And there was one Saturday practice to where the world blew up. Social media blew up because Trey, let's just say he had a great practice. And I thought, and I wanted him to be the starter. And that was before seeing what was behind door number 1, because I was fatigued of knowing Jimmy's limitations. Now I appreciate Jimmy. But now all of a sudden, Larry, Twitter has exploded. Social media has. Trey, from all accounts, is not having a good practice. I was in with John Dickinson last week. He said this to me verbatim. Goo, he's not having a good camp. But I feel like the reporters are not saying it. Maybe they're hanging on to it for something. But now it's grown, and you've been out there. You tell me, because I'm in the camp of it's too soon. I'm not going to panic until week 1. He's still a rookie. And if he was 25 or 25 every practice, I still would say it's too early. Talk to me about what is going on in Niner Nation, because everybody's going crazy about good or bad camp. You say what?
He's in, it's weird. It's like he's making the same mistake kind of over and over again. His deep ball accuracy is better than Garoppolo's.
Okay, wow. I love that.
Doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him after practice the other day. He's throwing passes to Debo. He's dropping it Russell Wilson in the breadbasket on the run, effortlessly. So he's throwing the deep ball accurately. He's throwing the deep cuts, like the 25, 22-yard cuts with accuracy and with a good spiral. Where he's struggling is consistently on the 8 to 10 to 12-yard sideline route. The ball is coming out all over the place. I mean, there's been times where the receiver doesn't even make a play on the ball because it's so far off. So that's a lot about mechanics. And anytime he's got to take a little off, he's throwing at full speed, he's fine. When he's got he can really go downfield. The touch is even nice. But the sideline routes, 8 to 12 yards in that range, where the footwork has to be right, where the release point has to be right, where the window is small, he's spraying that.
Wow.
It's high, it's low, it's in front of him, it's behind him, it's it's circus-like. It's all over the place. So that right there is a little bit concerning, but you got to remember that this kid's got very little playing time in the last couple of years. So it's going to take some time. This is the great part about Trey is the upside potential. The downside of Trey in the present is that you got to coach him up. Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller. He's an awesome play sequencer, but can he coach a quarterback? Can Brian Greasy coach a quarterback? Can they bring a quarterback from A to Z and coach him up along the way and build the confidence? We know he can call plays. We know he can sequence plays.
He can.
Yeah, he's a great play caller, but can he develop a young quarterback? And when he drafted Lance, he basically called his own bluff. And he basically said, you know what? Here it is. Let's see if you can do it. And now we're going to find out if he can do it.
You know what? You said that perfectly. He did. He put the focus on him after basically he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for what he did with Garoppolo. The fact that he got to a Super Bowl and another NFC Championship game after that. So, Larry, I want to hear from Niner Empire. 888-957-9570. Send us a text on the Comcast Business text line 955795. The thing you just said to me about those throws and the ball being sprayed everywhere, do you have that naturally? Is that something that you have in high school, college, and pro? Do you expect Trey to know how to fit those balls in those tight windows? And I'll say this about his delivery, and I'm not Ron Jaworski or Larry Krueger. I know he has that baseball wind up. So I know when that pocket is dirty and sometimes he's trying to wind, the guys, the defensive lineman can bat that thing on the ground. I'm just wondering, are those the mechanics you speak of? How big of a deal is it? The fix, is it a quick fix? Are you shocked he's not doing these things at this juncture?
Well, the 8 to 12 yard sideline route is kind of the layup for NFL quarterbacks. They're expected to make that pass and make it consistently. So it's not like nothing, but then also, look at Josh Allen, 50%, something like mid 50s completion percentage guy at Wyoming, year one in the NFL, 50-something% completion percentage. And look at the jump after a couple years in the system, working on his mechanics, working on his release, knowing the offense better. His completion percentage jumped. Now, the old saying is you cannot teach accuracy. But I think Josh Allen is kind of proof that you can improve a quarterback's accuracy. He's the same guy as he was when he came into the league, except he's had more reps. Trey needs reps. Where he's best, Goo, is when he's hooking up with Ayuk, because Ayuk and him have done the work. They've put in the reps. So Ayuk goes, will go full bore after the ball. He'll attack it in the air. He'll, as they say, go get it for Trey. But you can see the comfort that he has with Ayuk. They've done those reps. Now he needs to do them with Debo and Jennings and Kittle and the other receivers. And also he needs to hone in on his mechanics with his footwork and his shoulders and his release. He's got a little bit of the
baseball wind up.
Like hitters, a baseball hitter has a little bit of a start to a swing, and some guys will call it a hitch. Well, some people call it a hitch if your hands are up here and then you bring them back and then you bring them forward. But all baseball hitters have some kind of start mechanism, and that's all I see with Trey. It's not an elongated hitch. It's not like Kaepernick, who had an elongated motion. He's got a little bit of a start mechanism that's like a little mini half circle. And as teams study him, they'll break on that half circle. Okay. So It's important that he cleans it up a little bit. But I don't think it's going to burn him because he throws such smoke. He has such velocity on his ball that I'd still think that just a little mini half circle as his starting mechanism won't be enough to make him like interception happy, because guys are breaking on the ball too soon. So it's an issue, but it's not like an end all be all. I don't think it's something he has to eradicate from his game. He just needs to smooth it out.
Okay, and I love all that, and I love the fact that Brandon Ayuk, who I was big on last year, is having a great camp. Do you think the powers to be, and I think I can answer my own damn question, but you tell me what you think, Larry. Do you think they would want the name of the player having the good camp to be Trey Lance instead of Ayuk? Like, Are they disappointed at this juncture? Because to me, I'm like, no, this is the rough draft. This do what you do, get the mistakes out. But when you talk about mechanics, sideline route, that's where good quarterbacks eat. And you talk about Josh Allen, his accuracy on the run is like second to none. Maybe it's behind Aaron Rodgers. But when I watch him throw the football, I'm like, oh, that's it. So tell me if I'm crazy. I've never been excited as I am this Friday. I texted you last night.
Yeah.
What is the plan for Trey Lance?
As far as playing time?
Yeah. Is it a half for sure? Would you be?
No, I don't think so. Not in the first game. I would say 3 series, maybe 4 max. I mean, if that happened in a half, maybe, but I think he's, 2, maybe 3 series. I think, somewhere 2-3 series, somewhere in there.
And I'm not
and
mad.
then it's Sudfeld, then it's Purdy.
Okay. I'm not mad at the growing pains that this young man's going to go through. We all know, we saw it with Mac Jones, Fields, the rest of the gang, Lawrence. My thing is about the bravado that Kyle Shanahan basically put on his back, a target. Shout out to the shopping centers because he said, I can get him ready. So if Trey is less than stellar, or we're like, okay, there's a bunch of room for improvement, as long as the team has success, I'm with it. I get it. Experience, he'll be greater later. But the team, Larry, if Kyle can't get through this kid to where he goes out there, and they say the quarterback is just an offspring of the head coach. So if there's a disconnect there, then what are we talking about? Because I'm not coming for Trey's head saying, oh, they got the wrong pick. I'm just like, Kyle, the bravado was you could get this guy ready in year 1.
Well, I just think some of the things.
Year 2, excuse me.
Yeah, essentially it's his year 1.
Yeah,
right?
I hate that.
It really
I saw that over the weekend. It is year 1.
It sounds like an excuse, but it's the truth, right? The guy
should still be able to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, the kid played 2 games this last year, but I would say Kyle's got to do a lot of the same things that he did with Jimmy, just for different reasons. Jimmy had problems late in the down. Jimmy had problems with the hellacious turnover. He was resilient and would recover and play good coming out of that, but he still made these boneheaded mistakes, and he made them repeatedly in some of the biggest games. So what did Kyle do when he got to the playoffs? Took the ball out of his hands, ran the ball. I think they're going to do the same thing with Trey Lance. I think he's going to be on a pitch count. I mean, I think that's the best game plan for Trey. Is you don't want him out there hurling it 35 to 45 times. Trevor Lawrence had a game last year. I think he threw it a ton. Yeah. You can't have that. This is a 15 to 22 passes in a game kind of a quarterback at the beginning. Run the ball. Lean on your defense. The secondary for the Niners is dramatically improved,
man,
and they're pretty deep. Linebackers might be the best in the game. They've got a real nice front. Drake Jackson looks like he's ready to contribute. So, and they got a can full of backs, and they got all kinds of weapons. They got some of the best run after the catch weapons in the entire league. I love it.
Yeah.
So, put them on a pitch count. Run the ball first and second down. Play action pass out of that. Give Trey some defined looks. Get him into a rhythm. I think there's going to be games, Goo, where he struggles to get into a rhythm early. And they're going to look like they did in that Texans game in the first half. Where it's
losing at half.
You're looking at this thing going, oh, wow, is this guy an NFL quarterback? But then there's going to be times where when he starts to use his natural gifts, and that means to extend plays and escape the rush, move out of the pocket. And then he's got a big-time arm, and you've got receivers like Gray and McLeod who are going to be able to separate down the field. I think what you're going to see is an offense that's a little bit more inconsistent, but way, way more explosive. Like they're going to go 3 and out, but then they're going to have a play where Trey, escapes the pocket, keeps his eyes peeled down the field, and somebody breaks free, and he throws an absolute bullet down the field, and it's a big play. I expect more big plays, both running and throwing, but also some get ready for some 3 and outs. And and I agree with Bosa, as long as Trey can just avoid mass turnovers, I think they're going to be in position to win games.
When we get back, we're going to pay the bills, but when we get back, I want you to hear a quote from a Niner receiver, and then you and I break it down, because over the weekend, Giants, A's, Giants, this quote shook me in a sense that something we've been talking about that was floated out that I kind of dismissed it. A lot of people did. This kind of made me think it's a thing. I'll play it on the other side, and we'll get into it. And I'm not Dr. Phil, Larry.
Look
I'm
at that
not.
tease, man. Look at the tease.
Yeah, stop.
Look at
But the tease, I should have went to break, but now I'm coming back. I'm not Dr. Phil, but I know you can learn how to dance. You can learn how to get a jumper. You can't learn how to love anybody. You shouldn't. And also accuracy. You know how many quarterbacks have been wrecked by the lack of accuracy? I think it's more natural than a lot of people think. So
I got a good Dr. Phil impersonation.
give it to it, go, but we're almost up against it. Go ahead.
Remember he did the weight thing? They were trying to, you're a disgusting fat pig, and you got to push away from the table.
Larry, I'm gonna give you an 8.
Did you like that? Did you like that?
Do it one more time. That was him.
You're a disgusting fat pig, and you gotta learn to push away from the table.
Wow. When we get back, Dr. Phil and Daryle the Guru Johnson right here on 95.7 The Game.
The voice you
Reese's. Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
Steiny and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. No Steiny. Larry Krueger holding it down. We'll be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 1 o'clock, Larry. We got guest, Mr. Mike Bassic, August 7th, 2007. I'm going to ask you, what were you doing? Where were you at? But Barry Bonds hit his 756 home run off of Mike Bassic, so we'll kind of rub it in his face. Or is it a good thing that you remembered? Because that clip, all what you do, oh, my grandkids, look at me on the bump, but forget it when it was a homer. Would you like that or no?
I mean, I would want to be remembered for something that I did, not something that I gave up. But you know what? Baseball, 99% of all baseball players or all players are forgotten. So if there's something in the game that you're remembered because of your moment, heck, you know what? You're being remembered as a Major League Baseball player. I think that's always a good thing, even if you give up. There's no shame in giving up a home run to Barry Bonds.
No doubt. And there's no baseball. They're all hard sports, tennis, golf, all of it, pickleball. But to me, Larry, the most mentally challenging sport of them all is baseball. You fail 7 out of 10 times and you bat 300. You'll be an all-star. 30% from the field, 30% completion percentage from a quarterback. None of that's good. But in baseball, that's just how hard it is, man. So I watch, and that's what makes me appreciate it more.
Well, I mean, the guy who I always think of in this moment is Eck, because Eck gave up one of the most famous home runs in baseball history, the shot in '88.
Vin Scully.
Yeah, to Gibson at Dodger Stadium. But Eck understood that, like when it came time to remember that, he was willing to go to Dodger Stadium and participate. Why? Because he's secure in who he is. He's secure in the career that he had, and he understands that sometimes the moment is bigger than anything else. And you know what? Yeah, it was his moment. He was the GOAT. But I love Eck because he faced up the music in real time. He didn't run from it. And now years later, he's not like, man, I don't want to be part of that. It's kind of like Ralph Branca with Bobby Thompson. Ralph Branca for years would be invited to banquets with Bobby Thompson in New York. And he always went because he understood that the moment was for the fans and the game and promoting the game. And it's not necessarily this big negative on you. So
no doubt. I'll say this. Larry, I was driving in and I'm kind of proud of myself. I feel like as a sports fan, I've matured because I'm not panicking about Trey. I'm posting my flag in the sand like, you know what? Week 1 is when I'll start to take inventory. And I'm not going to make a decision by week 8. I know, you got to go through your football puberty talking about Trey Lance, but I am sitting back just eating my grapes, feed myself watching other people just go crazy over just the lack of accuracy, the quote unquote bad camp, the interceptions. And before we go out to Redwood City, I'm going to grab Austin. I teased this quote from Brandon Ayuk. Play it, Sterling.
Like the best thing about Trey, he walked off the practice field and he was still the exact same way today. He talked about it, talked to us after a couple plays that he wished he had it back. He comes and talks to us the same way as if he were to hit a play. What did he see? What he didn't see? What he liked? That was on me. That was maybe we should be here. Just still talking to us, trying to figure it out, but just level, even kill dude. So we don't worry about him at all, really. We'll look at it. He comes in, he says, let's take a look at it later on today. Do so, and then we move on. That's what practice is for, day 10. I mean, one thing I've learned is that you never know what these guys' arms feel like. The same way for us. We go out there, some days our legs are tired. tired. They may expect us to break out a route and come out of our breaks a lot faster than we did, and our legs are a little bit tired, so we can't do so. So the same thing for them. We feel like was something that I learned. I get to see that you never know what those guys' arms are feeling like. They're coming out here and they're throwing a bunch of balls. So we just got to look at it, get it corrected, and then come back, get a day off, and get better.
Larry, I'm sorry. I'm going Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey. That's True Detective. He's telling you something's up with the arm. Well, he said his legs are fatigued, and then he's looking at his new quarterback that his arm is fatigued. And you ain't the kid's young. So is this a thing? Is this something that's leading to the bad practices and when you?
It could.
Fatigue makes cowardice of all men. So if this kid is dealing with a dead arm this early, to me, I'll go ring the bell and sound the alarm. That is not good. And I know Ayuk wasn't trying to say that. It didn't slip out. But to me, I'm eating my popcorn like, how can I ignore that?
That's funny that you take that from that, because I'm taking he's an even keel dude.
I heard that too.
I mean, the even keel dude is what he is, and that's why when I say I love the kid as a prospect, because they're all prospects until they do it, and you know what? That process of football, you have to be an even keel guy. You can't ride high with your successes and be in the crapper when you have struggles. And also, this is a young quarterback, a very inexperienced young quarterback who's had a lot of inactivity. You're not, if you're a Niner fan, you're hoping for the best, but you're not getting the miracle ride. You're not going to get this kid with all this upside potential who's going to hit the ground running and just absolutely be perfect from day one. That's fantasy crap. The reality is this kid's got a huge upside, but it's going to be a process. And as I said before, Shanahan called his own bluff because he didn't take the polished guy. He took the guy with the highest upside, and now he's got to coach him up. And so it's on him, and it's on Greasy, and it's on the offensive coaches and the entire offensive system to keep with this kid. But the even keel dude, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on as far as my evaluation of Trey, is that he loves the process, and in time he's going to be special. So I think you got a glimpse of that. Are you mad at
anybody that's thinking like me? Because you're spot on with that.
No, not at all.
Because you see how somebody could get to that if they were hearing that quote like I had.
I don't think there's any question that Trey has been up and down and inconsistent.
Right.
But that's to be expected. How you respond. I mean, the one thing about quarterback, we all know it. I don't care who you are, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, anybody. The position is about, here's a bunch of adversity. Can you overcome it? So things aren't going to go well, and at times they're going to go really poorly, and he's going to miss some wide open guys, and his accuracy at times is going to be spotty. Can he get beyond it? Can he do the reps? Can he put in the work? Will he put in the work? Will he stay even keeled? Will he keep communicating with his receivers? It's like you and I have been doing a few shows together. We're trying to get on the same page. The same thing. We're quarterback and receiver. They got to get on the same page, and it takes reps, man. It takes reps, and they're repping it. I would expect he's going to be really, really good when the bullets start flying.
Would you consider Friday them starting to fly? Because again, not to come in here Monday and overreact, but that just means we're one weekend closer to Chicago. And to me, you talk about Shanahan and the pressure. There's more on him, to me, from the outside looking in than Trey, because it's the team goal. We're not going to know that halfway through the season. And if you want to give or try Trey Lance with the Brad Johnson portfolio when he was in Tampa, or the Trent Dilfer, that doesn't mean I'm saying that's what Trey's going to be, but we need to have a conversation. And I'm watching these horses come in, and the Niners need to be one of the NFC teams that qualify at minimum, Larry Krueger, for the playoffs. So that's what this is about. I can, again, that proud of myself, I can look at the bigger picture and say, okay, Trey, Maggie Seaver growing pains, he'll get there, but did the team still do what they did with Jimmy? And I don't think that's too far-fetched.
Camp stat. Just remember this: camp stats mean nothing. The first look in the preseason, I think you'll get a much better idea of what he can do. The other thing that you see in practice, that occasionally Trey will, look around, not see what he wants, tuck it and run. Well,
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you like
you
that.
Don't like it?
Well, I don't like it. I don't like it in practice. I like it in the game.
Oh.
I don't like it in practice because that means that you probably missed an opportunity to throw the ball. Get the ball out of your hands. If there's one thing I want to see them do, I want to see them get the ball out of his hands quicker. Get him into a rhythm. Give him some defined reads, some half-field reads, so he can get the ball out of his hands into the hands of the playmakers, so he can start feeling some of that success, so he can start developing a little bit of that rhythm. If he gets in a rhythm, I think you're going to be looking at a really dangerous quarterback with a ton of upside. But it's not easy to get into a rhythm, especially for a young kid who hasn't played a lot.
I love it. Larry Krueger, Daryle the Guru Johnson on 95.7 The Game. We got you locked in until 3 p.m. Coming up at 1 p.m., we'll be joined by Mike Bassic, former MLB pitcher, current host on our sister station, 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. I'll tell you what, Larry, let's go out to Redwood City and welcome Austin to the program. What's up, A?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, man. Hey, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like Trey out there throwing ducks around. Man, he better get that. He better get that figured out because everybody high on him. They wanted him in this game. How they did Garoppolo. At least we know Garoppolo can throw at least 8 to 10 yards to 12 yards for that first down. We know that for a fact. And I think Garoppolo was leading. I think the lead in passes down the field too, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know why we go out there and get a quarterback if it wasn't broken. When Garoppolo got us to the front, to the conference, and to the Super Bowl, throwing 8 to 10 yard passes down the field and a couple passes down the field. That's far.
I just think they wanted more. I think I think Shanahan wanted more. I think,
nothing wrong with that.
Well, go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, did Garoppolo play well in the Super Bowl? I don't know that he played well. He had a terrible interception in the first half. He had Chris Jones's face mask locked to his. He still.
Well, that was O-line's fault too, Larry. They start overpowering that O-line.
Totally, but I mean, don't float up a duck on the sidelines. That was a first half interception.
No doubt.
Didn't connect late.
Hit Kittle. They called it back.
Yeah, that was a bad call. That really was a bad call. The offensive push off on Kittle down the field.
No excuses, Larry. Calls can change the NFL game, and that was a big one right before half. Had they went in to score, but bottom line, Larry, they were up 10 in the fourth. With his shortcomings, or what adjective you want to put on how Jimmy played in the Super Bowl, but then to miraculously, that's what I'll call it last year, get him to LA in the championship game. That's where I did my 180 on him. Like, you know what? All these so-called superstars in my face. I'm watching NFL Network, NFL Primetime on ESPN. All week I'm on social media. Dak, Kyler, Tannehill, all these other quarterbacks haven't even reached the heights of Jimmy Garoppolo. So that made me appreciate him. But it's like if I'm in a casino and I'm gambling and I'm hot at a table or I'm winning, you don't get up and just go to another table until you lose. So this move has some type of that feel to me, but I feel like if we were to go Kyle's house, I don't want to sound like a stalker, stranger danger, Larry, and he had a diary, Kyle did, and I read it, he would say the public didn't know the game plan that I had to put together for Jimmy Garoppolo and his shortcomings and his mistakes. It was stressful. It was stressful for me on Sundays. I played the role. Nobody, he probably had a bottle of Jack Daniels every time he got home, like, woo, honey, we got the win. But I think that's what he got tired of. You mentioned it. I think that's what he got tired of, and maybe we didn't see it.
I just think he also got tired of the same mistakes, late, over the middle, in a crowd, and defenses. You started to see it last year. Defenses late in the down are cheating in. They're cheating in the middle of the field. Why? Because Garoppolo's not challenging outside the numbers down the field. So part of being a great offensive player or great offense overall is make the defense guard the entire field. And I don't think they were forced to guard the entire field against Garoppolo. Now, what he did well at times. He was very resilient, but he repeated his mistakes. So, the hope is that Trey is going to have more upside, more ability to escape, more arm strength. It's going to take time, though. I mean, this is one of those things where, there's a reason that no rookie quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl. It's hard, and there's a lot to digest. But I think you'll see them, try to get him in a rhythm, a lot of run after the catch, force the ball out of his hands. You don't want Trey holding the ball a long time, especially behind a line that may struggle at times at the beginning of the year with some new faces. May have a rookie at both guard spots, essentially. Banks at left guard is essentially a rookie, and Burford at right guard is also a rookie.
I'm looking at Sterling behind you, and he's nodding your head to what you're saying. And I do agree with it. We're going to go out to Oakland and grab Tamir. But before we do, Larry, I'm just looking at this like, okay, the Niners are ready-made. JD talked about it. You talked about it. You went to camp. You looked everywhere with the different sectors of the team, and they got guys. This defense, much improved secondary, like they're ready-made. That shouldn't even be shocking because they were on the doorstep to go into the Super Bowl. But now the one thing about Mac Jones and this world we live in, Larry, I really believe, and I'm telling you this, a kid playing at one of the most prestigious, talking about Jones, programs in the nation. We see him Saturday. We see him. It's all about Bama. We've seen him in the big time games. Had that kid had a six-pack or been built like Terrell Owens, I think even though they were wrong, when the experts were saying he was going to be the Niners draft pick, I believe Twitter and the Niner fans would have took a deep breath as opposed to body shaming this dude, thinking, okay, he's not built to run. He won't be Josh Allen, but he can move. I think how he looked is why Twitter, social media blew up and Niner fans were like, no way, no way. So my point is, give me the last guy that didn't play big time college ball and just came here and got this opportunity to the NFL and was Terry Bradshaw or a future Hall of Famer. I think of our guy at Safeway. I know that's where he didn't work, Kurt Warner, but he was older. This is different. I just don't like
Tom Brady.
He played at Michigan.
But he didn't play.
Yeah, you're right.
He sat behind.
But that was a miss, right? So maybe Trey's a miss, but you get what I'm saying.
How about Josh Allen?
We don't know what he is.
Josh Allen played at Wyoming.
Yeah.
He might be the best quarterback going. How about Mahomes? He transferred. Didn't he play at 2 colleges?
Yeah, all of them were colleges that we knew. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm even Wisconsin, you bring that up. That's different
Russell
than
Wilson
Trey.
played at NC State, then transferred to Wisconsin. I'm just saying that there's a lot of different routes.
So that doesn't bother you. His past,
the fact that he's an FCS, an FCS quarterback,
or hardly played, Larry.
Well, I just think that it's about to me, it's about get the best prospect and then take him through the best process. And I think they've got a tremendous prospect, and I think they've taken him through a smart process up to now. But it's time to make it happen.
Right? I agree.
It's now there's a business side of this thing. Yeah, in an ideal world with no business side of this, you have Jimmy sitting right there and you just let him sit there.
And that's what I wanted.
But now Jimmy's making $24 million and you can't really have them both. So at the cut down, you're probably gonna have to make a decision. I think it's gonna be really interesting. What if Trey plays really mistake-laden football in the preseason? Or what if he plays mistake-laden football and there's a mini injury?
Yeah.
Will Garoppolo suddenly go from the side field to the main field?
That's all in play until they wave bye-bye to him, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's all in play. So I do think the game plan to move him on, is to move Garoppolo on, but it doesn't. Ian Rappaport said this morning there's no obvious fit in a trade, but I think they're just kind of going to play it by ear and see how it goes. I mean, it does create a circus-like atmosphere, but there's also Shanahan's made it sound like, hey man, we're committed to Trey and going down this road, and that a lot of it's tied to the business side of it. That they've got Jimmy's money earmarked not just for Debo, who's already been paid, but Bosa and Ayuk.
Good Lord, you're gonna need
and several other guys. Ayuk's going to be paid next year, so I think a lot of that money that Jimmy, that's being paid to Jimmy right now, that's earmarked for guys on the roster right now. So I think the decision's been made, unless something interjects, a major injury, horrendous play at the quarterback position, something like that. I think it would take dramatic. Either a dramatic injury or dramatic bad play.
But he ain't going to be out there long enough for us to get to horrendous, do you think? Or could horrendous be what we like? Is Kyle behind closed doors, hey, John, this kid ain't as far.
It depends.
You know what I mean?
It depends.
Does practice count?
Gio Carmazzi never played an NFL regular season game.
Wow.
Why? Because when he got to the Hall of Fame game, he had this kind of shot put kind of throwing motion, and they quickly looked at it and said, it ain't going to work. So, and this was a guy who had 4.0 GPA. He had a great, workout, strong, fast, tough, smart.
He stinks.
Bust.
Wow.
He was a bust. So who knows?
Let's go out to the town and welcome Tamir to the program. Larry, what's up, Tamir?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to say this first. I'm a Raider fan, so I have no bias with the Niners. But I think the Trey Lance thing, if the Niners defense is like, if you listen to the fans, they say the Niners defense is that good, shouldn't like a basically rookie quarterback be struggling against a top defense? So that's a good thing to me. I play sports. You're supposed to struggle in practice. It's better to do that than in a game. And I just think it's a lot of clickbait too. There's nothing going on in the sports world. Let's say, Trey Lance, he went 4 for 17 in practice, and everybody's going to hit that, and it's struggling. But I think it's more nothing anything. You're supposed to struggle in practice than doing it in the game. So can't be no worse than Jimmy G either. I'm not a Jimmy fan. He did a whole bunch of nothing to me. Honestly, it was the defense and the run game that did him. So Trey Lance can't be no worse than that.
It's an interesting point for sure. I will say this. The Niner D was pretty good last year. Jimmy completed like 65% in camp against those guys. That was disrespectful.
I love Tamir, but to say he did nothing, that's what I can say I was wrong about him. He wasn't Y.A. Tittle. But Jimmy, like you said, did his best work after he would mess up to help his team get the win. Don't say he didn't do anything.
You can't
that's hate, Larry.
You can't say he didn't do anything. But
right.
at the same time, he had an outstanding running game, an outstanding defense. The year they went to the Super Bowl, did he play big in the biggest games? No. In the last year, the games there for the taking in the fourth quarter, couldn't even make one first down against the Ram front. Now, the Bengals couldn't in the bowl either.
Okay.
So maybe the Ram front was just whipping the Niner front. Yeah, sometimes the other team's better. They get paid too, as they say. So how much of that was on Jimmy? How much of that's on Shanahan? I think they both have to wear it, to be honest.
Let's go out to San Bruno real quick and grab Jim. Jim, welcome to the program.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on, and great to talk with you guys, with Guru and Larry. I love you online with all podcasts and everything. So great to have you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
it. Hey guys, right on. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in with this, and I do agree with the last caller to an extent, and I agree with you, Guru, to an extent that Jimmy has definitely had his moments, definitely, throughout his Niner career, and a very high percentage passer. But we all know his limitations too. And I think that's the thing, is that there's this popular kind of myth that, quote, Jimmy took us to the Super Bowl and Jimmy took us to the NFC Championship last year. So to say that about a quarterback, to me, that's like Mahomes or Brady or going back, Montana, one of those kind of guys that can put the team on his shoulders and take them to the promised land. Jimmy's not that guy. Jimmy is a sit back in the pocket, high percentage passes, short passes, and then rely on your running game and your defense to control things and close it out. Look at Jimmy's very last play as a Niner when he threw that no-look, eyes-closed interception in the fourth quarter against the Rams to seal the deal. And then they kicked the field goal, and it was game over. Jimmy can't handle the pressure, and he's not a big game quarterback. And Shanahan had enough, and I've had enough, and it's time to move on. I wish Jimmy all the best, but it's Trey's team now, and enough of him and his fourth quarter interceptions in the big game.
Appreciate the call.
Here's the bottom line, I think, on Jimmy. There was no downfield passing attack the last few years with Jimmy Garoppolo.
And I hated it. I hated it.
It's just, I know. And they hated it. You think Shanahan liked that? Listen to this number, these numbers I got. Garoppolo's career passer rating when throwing the ball 30-plus yards down the field, 35.3. Balls thrown 30-plus yards down the field from Jimmy Garoppolo since 2014. On those balls, he's 5 of 30, 264 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 picks. His downfield passing percentage, completion percentage, 16.7%.
Yikes.
That is the worst among 54 quarterbacks with 30-plus attempts. The league average was 31% on such throws. He's completing 16%. So there's no downfield passing game with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Take out that Saints game on the road. Remember that? It's probably worse than that. I'm being
it wasn't just the turnovers. It wasn't just the injuries. There was no downfield passing attack to speak of.
I tried.
Larry, when we get back, we're going to be joined by Mike Bassic. We're going to have some fun with him. Former MLB pitcher and current radio host on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas is Larry Krueger and Daryle the Guru Johnson right here on 95.7 The Game. Are you a commercial property owner or management working on 2022 painting plans? MB Jesse Painting offers full repairs, maintenance, painting, carpentry, and wood rot repairs. Why wait? Call 855 MB Jesse today or online at mbjesse.com.
No one. live on the free Odyssey app.
Deals. And Bonds hits one high. It's a deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone. He is on top of the all-time home run list. What a special moment for Barry Bonds. And what a special moment for these fans here in San Francisco.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
No Steiny today. Larry Krueger holding it down. I'm Daryle the Guru Johnson, and it is my pleasure, Larry. We got company. We got a big boy on the line, and that is Mike Bassic from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, former MLB pitcher. And Mike, we were just talking about you like, you know what? Is it a bad thing that he's remembered for giving up 756 to Barry? Can you tell us what that morning was like? Did you say, honey, before I left, kiss the kids, I can do anything but give up a homer?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't talk to my wife about it. She loves me, but she's just like, hey, baseball is baseball. I talked to my father, I can remember, around San Francisco area, midday around lunch, and he was like, hey, man, go after him. If he hits a home run off of you, I know everybody will probably remember that, but if he goes 0 for 3, nobody will remember, but I'll remember. So, I went after him with, I guess, my best stuff. It wasn't good enough that day. I think he was a triple away from the cycle off of me, so I wasn't like the other two at-bats I did any better, except it just didn't go out of the ballpark. But it was just, I didn't have my best stuff that day, and, Barry Bonds is arguably the greatest hitter of all time, and 3-2 right down the middle wasn't the best pitch.
Well, I'll tell you, man, but you are now going to be remembered in baseball history. But let's talk about pitching to Barry Bonds, because let's talk about what Barry Bonds did. Barry Bonds planted himself as close as he could to the plate, and he was sitting there with that elbow armor, and he just had the courage of the greatest courage of all time, because he was right on the plate, and if you pitched him right in on the elbow, he could deflect it with that hard shield. I mean, he was like Captain America up there.
Yeah, I accidentally in 2002, when I was on the Mets, I hit him in that bat, and I wasn't meaning to. It's just that he's really close to the plate, and if you did miss on the plate his hand-eye coordination and bat speed and everything was good enough and easy enough to get to that pitch, keep the ball, inside that foul line and hit it into, the water out there. So he was just, he was, I just can remember going the way I felt like in high school when, you're a kid and you just don't it's just really not a lot of competition when you're as good as like a lot of professional athletes are in high school. And I'm looking at it and going, this is still high school to Barry Bonds in some aspects. And for all of us that make it to that top 1%, it becomes really difficult to be successful on a daily basis. And he still was pretty much, even in 2007, I can't remember his on-base percentage, but I looked at it recently and I was like, dude, it was still like 45 or 46% or something crazy that he was getting on base in his last year ever in the major leagues.
Steiny and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. It's our pleasure to welcome Mike Bassic to the program. 15 years ago yesterday, Mike gave up Barry Bonds' 756 home run. And I'm going to say something to you, Mike, because you talked about how great Barry was. We all know it, and I'm offended. I'm not a former player, but David Ortiz being a first ballot Hall of Famer, Barry not in, Clemens, A-Rod. Your thoughts on that? I just think that was a black eye for Major League Baseball.
You're right. It's not right. Either, I think, and I don't think they should do this, they either have to say, hey, kind of everybody who played from about 1988 to 2003, nobody gets in because we know there was major steroid use in the sport. We didn't test for it, and nobody can get in. We have to almost discount years 1988 through 2003, no matter who you are. We assume steroids. I don't think he did. So too bad you don't get in because we can only count your career from 1982 to 1987. About in 1988, we know that the Bash brothers in Oakland, along with, it started happening here in Texas too. Like you could start seeing the change in body structures and what was happening in the game of baseball. But if you're going to allow other people in,
that we know were steroid users, then I do think that Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and a guy like Rafael Palmeiro, who has 500 homers and 3,000 hits, like these guys should be in. It was a time where we didn't test. It was illegal, but it wasn't tested for. And you just have to say, look, it is what it is. But those guys were still unbelievable at what they did in the sport.
Well, to me, it's like once C-League went in, I mean, who had more power to enact change and eradicate the whole PED era? The players or Bud? Bud made fat cash, and now he's in the Hall, and Bonds and Clemens are on the outside looking in. They had genius talent. He sold cars. Let me throw this one, though. This is amazing. Your dad pitched in the big leagues. You're a second generation big leaguer. Your dad pitched for the Rangers and the Twins. I didn't realize this. I just looked this up while we were talking. Your dad pitched to Hank Aaron when Aaron was sitting on 755. Theoretically, you and your dad both could have given up 756. You Bonds and him to Aaron. I mean, that in itself is just absolutely almost mind blowing.
That would have been really crazy. And I talked to my dad about that, and he just said, Hank Aaron at that point wasn't Hank Aaron anymore. Obviously, he didn't hit another home run, but he said at that point my dad said Hank was more of a slider hitter at that point at around 40 years old, is that if you threw a slider, you know, he could obviously hook it and hit a homer. But at that point, it was a little bit different facing Hank Aaron on the Brewers than it was facing Hank Aaron, obviously, in the 50s and 60s and maybe even early 70s. But yeah, it's crazy that he faced Hank Aaron at 755, and I faced Barry Bonds at 755. And you know, what's interesting is I get why Barry Bonds stopped playing / retired / you know, kind of a little bit of a blackball in the game and how much people were willing to pay him and take him on and everything. But if you look at where he was still at in his career and what he could have done, I think he would have easily got to 800 home runs. Like he easily had 2 more years in him. Let's just be conservative and say 25 home runs a year. And if he would have gone to another team and gone to, let's say, a home run friendly park, let's just say here in Texas, if he would have signed with the Rangers and been at the old ballpark in Arlington, he might have hit 40 home runs in 2008 at that ballpark.
Right. No, he, you know, and then of course, you know, if we want to grow this argument, Willie Mays played his entire career, never played in a park that was suited for him, lost 2 years of his prime in the military. Who knows? I mean, Willie Mays could have been the all-time home run king if we, you know, if we kind of look at the numbers and kind of examine it. But it's amazing. How often does Bonds come up when you're talking about your career and people are talking about, you know, what you accomplished and your great memories that you had from your career? How often does Bonds come up? Do people bring it up to you, or do you wind up bringing it up to them?
A little bit of both. I think that people that know that I played Major League Baseball will ask me about it, and then people that are like, oh, you played Major League Baseball, this and that, and then sometimes they'll be like, well, I mean, kind of the only thing I'm known for, because they don't give out, you know, plaques for getting 10-hole wins in the major leagues for a career, is I'll be like, oh, I was the guy on the mound that, you know, gave up the home run to Barry Bonds when he broke Hank Aaron's record. But I try to not say that a whole bunch, but every once in a while I might tell somebody, yeah, you know, that was me, or somebody who knows me when I'm meeting somebody say, and he's the guy who did this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy who did that. So,
Mike, we don't have to tell you that Trey Lance is taking over for Jimmy Garoppolo. And, you know, in training camp, people are panicking because he hasn't had the best practices. And I listen to your guys' station all the time. My dad's from Bullard, Texas. My first game was at Cowboy Stadium. I'm in a Cowboy jersey now. Going back, I got to get this off my chest. I told my partner I'm getting side-eyed in here because I got the jersey on. I am so
he's wearing a Cowboy jersey in downtown San Francisco.
Listen, Mike.
Good luck.
I am so down on Dak Prescott. It's over. It's finished. He's not the guy. He doesn't read it. And Jimmy tried to give the Cowboys the game. Dak had 3 timeouts. He had enough time, and the drive stalled. Tell me why anybody should still have faith in Dak. Mike, he doesn't read it. I've seen enough.
You know, I don't want to disagree with you too hard. I am not a guy who's a huge Dak guy. I don't dislike him. I think he's a good quarterback. I think if somebody wants to talk about Dak Prescott and tell me he's a top 10 quarterback, if you're telling me he's like 8th, 9th, or 10th, I'm not going to argue. I'll be like, hey, I see that. If somebody says he's a little bit better than average. He's like the 13th or 14th best quarterback. I'm like, I hear you. I understand. I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's just not as talented as Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or, Herbert, who I think is going to have a great year this year. I just think that he's a guy that lives in that good quarterback range, and to be a successful championship team, and San Francisco almost pulled it off in 2017, is you have to have a phenomenal defense and you have to have a ball control offense. And the Cowboys don't have that. And then when you're paying your quarterback $40 million, it's really tough to do. I'm not a big Jerry Jones fan, but when you are paying that much money to a quarterback, it's tough to say, and we're going to have a premium defense with a good offensive line who can control the ball so we don't have you making all the mistakes. I just got through being at training camp in Oxnard, California, and pretty much Dak is what he is. He's accurate to the point of he hits people that are catchable balls. But when you watch CeeDee Lamb or you watch the new kid Tolbert, the 3rd-round pick, they always, whenever they're going across the field, and this hurts CeeDee Lamb tremendously, is they have to slow down or they have to go to their knees to catch the ball. So it's still a completion. So when you look at the box score and you see, oh, he was 22 of 31. What are you guys upset about? You're like, dude, if that's an 8-yard route, if he hits them in stride the way Patrick Mahomes hits like a Tyreek Hill, that turns 8 yards into 38 yards. But when you have to have that guy drag his back foot or catch it on his back hip, the play's over. It's just an 8-yard completion.
Mike, how much pressure pressure was there on you as a young kid, knowing that your dad had pitched in the big leagues to reach that level? I mean, it's baseball. My kids play, and it's so pressure ridden. It's so difficult. Yeah. It starts to funnel, in junior high and high school. It's really hard to play here in California. Anything above, varsity high school baseball is difficult, and then it funnels even more from there. But I mean, did you feel that pressure as a young man to say, you know what, my dad pitched in the big leagues and that's the expectation?
My dad is my hero and now my best friend, and he's a great dad. And I just so much wanted to be like him. And honestly, the competitiveness in me and maybe in the Bassic family wanted to be better than him. So I never saw it. I think it's a great question. And I wonder this. For me, my dad was he was a guy who made the big leagues, a guy who stayed around the major leagues for 5 seasons. And so maybe I didn't feel as much pressure as maybe a guy like, now he ended up being great. Like Bobby Bonds was a great player and, Barry exceeded that. But I just always wonder about the guys when you're LeBron James's kid, like that's tough. You're never going to be as a top 5 player in the history of basketball. So I just wonder the pressure there, but I loved sports and I loved baseball so much. I never felt like it was, I have to do this, or if I don't do this, I'm a failure. I wish my career was better. There's always times where I'm watching games today and going, God, what if I would have developed that pitch? What if I would have done this? What if I would have changed my arm angle? Would it have been any different? What if I wouldn't have got traded? So I do question things and if I could have done things differently, but I know I worked hard. I tried my best. I pretty much got the most out of my talents. Maybe the opportunities weren't as great as I would hope for them to be, but I think growing up, I usually, this isn't the best thing that I'm saying here, but sometimes I just tell my dad to shut up and let me play. And now I have 2 boys who play baseball, and I actually have my dad teach them pitching, and I have a guy who used to play in the major leagues, one of my high school teammates, Chad Allen, teach them hitting, because they don't really want to listen to me. They just want me to throw batting practice or hit them ground balls. So I try to get other guys that I really trust to teach them because I'm just dad at times to them.
Love it. Mike, we know you're busy, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and all your information. Have a good day, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Bassic, former MLB pitcher and current sports talk radio host at 105.3 The Fan. And again, we had him on because 15 years ago yesterday, Larry, he gave up 756. And that's incredible that his dad could have done it before him.
Well,
you just found that.
I just saw it. I'm reading that, Mike. Is that possible? Would you rather have not be remembered, like be totally forgotten, or be remembered for something that you did that wasn't necessarily good? Like this guy, obviously, as a pitcher, you're not trying to give up a home run. So you could say he's remembered for something that he, was trying
Honestly,
to,
Larry,
he's trying to avoid, but he's going to be remembered.
I think it would be cool. I
To
think
be
it would
remembered.
because I'm not the only one. 755 other guys did it.
Right.
And
There's no
I was the
shame
guy,
in it.
trying to get him out, but he'll live forever. This is his anniversary, or yesterday it was. This will go on forever. So it's kind of cool to just, the part of this is, he was a major league pitcher. He had the stuff. Okay, Barry took you deep, and it happened to be the one. But now he's kind of, he'll do this every year. I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think anything that makes you part of baseball history, that's almost like, dude, you're in a select group of people. Most players are totally forgotten about.
That's wow.
He's going to have this like kind of this little subplot to his career that is always going to be with him.
It's Larry Krueger, Daryle the Guru Johnson on Steiny and Guru. Got you locked in until 3 p.m. You asked something about the father-son thing, and I find it fascinating. To me, I look at the greatest duos when it comes to fathers and sons, that pressure, the ones that didn't work. Jordan's kids.
Pete Rose
Charlie
Jr.
Woods looks like he's got some action. His dad was a great in regard to golf. But I'm thinking of the guy that his dad was just as good. And I know Barry and Bobby, they're at the top. But the Griffeys, to me, would be the one that I would go hand them the award. I know Dale and Steph, but Dale wasn't in Steph's category. He was an NBA player, so that's a feat in itself. But Larry, the Griffeys together, Ken Griffey Sr. was a badass to me. And then have your son come be what he was, Junior. I think they may get the award if
the greatest father-son duo.
Yeah,
the greatest father-son
in any sport
combined WAR is Barry and Bobby.
Okay.
But that's not a surprise, right?
Because I think a lot of Barry than Bobby, but Bobby was a good player.
Yeah, and there's others. The Boones.
Yeah.
Bob Boone was one of the best catchers in the 70s.
How about the Barrys? He's got a few of them in the league. Rick.
Yeah, that's right. Rick's one of the great sires of basketball.
But his sons played, but none of them with the portfolio of Rick or close to it.
I do always wonder kind of if Brent Barry had ever been allowed to just run the point. Could Brent Barry have been a greater player, held in higher regard? Because he was magical.
He had athletic. He could do everything.
6'7", unbelievable
they
handle.
Weren't bombing threes then either in his era.
No, but there's John Barry, there's Rick. Rick,
Scooter.
obviously, Scooter. He's got his kid Canyon. Played on the Warrior Summer League team a couple years ago. So, Rick, but yes, first of all, how do you beat Dell, Steph, and Seth? Look I
hadn't even thought of the triplets.
And if you go career earnings, I think the Currys probably will wind up winning that because Seth is making a bankload of cash, and obviously Steph is the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah, let's go out to the city. We are in the city, and welcome Rico to the program. What's up, Rico?
How you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Hey, so I just want to dial in on this 49er thing. I've been a fan all my life. And what a year for them to go cheap to get some guys on that offensive line. I've been to training camp twice already. It seems like Trey's running for his life here and there. And I know that comes with the territory of him being new. But you cannot expect this kid to do a whole bunch if he doesn't have the protection up front. And it's going to take 4 to 5 weeks of regular season play for those guys to gel together. And for everybody saying, we're going against the top 5 defense, well, we better hope we are, because this is killing me, man. You could not have brought in a seasoned vet, at least at one of those positions. You let Tomlinson go because you have a cap space. You only want to spend $10 million on a guard or whatever the case may be. But you are killing me with this, man. And as a fan, having this window, and they want to be good for years and years, and they said that when they first got here, and I get it. But I just want one. Just bring us home one. And I'll listen to you guys off the air.
When he says one, he means one Lombardi trophy. Yeah. I hear you. But
that was heartfelt.
Yeah, Banks is a second-round pick. So, what
have you seen from the unit in totality out there? Because that is a big part. What trade is, trade that. What about the O-line blocking for him?
First of all, the Niners do have a real good defense. And, it's camp. You can't put a lot of, you can't put a lot of credence in what you're seeing in camp. Now, the defense looks pretty good. But
no shocker there.
But I mean, Aaron Banks was a second-round pick. You got Brunskill and Brendel battling out for center. I don't know. Maybe they'll even introduce the kid Jason Poe at some point. The revelation in Niner camp is Spencer Burford.
Okay,
Burford is absolutely a plug-and-play guy. He's starting at right guard. Shanahan said he comes out of the same offense that they run with what he did at Texas San Antonio, blocking for Sincere McCormick. So, and then McGlinchey's healthy and doing his thing right now. So you got the best. I mean, you're not going to have a Pro Bowl caliber line straight across. They've invested their cash in their D line, and now they've got Trent Williams, who's the best left tackle in football. Banks was a second-round pick. Burford looks like a revelation at right guard. McGlinchey, they think, is settling in. We're going to have to see it. We're going to have to see it come together. But I wouldn't necessarily be down on the Niners for the construction of the O-line. I think ultimately you got to spread your money around. You got to make decisions. You got to decide, where do you want to spend your money? And they spent their money more on the defensive line than they did on the offensive line. And they're investing draft capital in that O-line. It's time for some of these guys. Forrester is considered to be a very good offensive line coach. It's time to coach him up.
Wow. And you know what? The head coach has his hands full with the quarterback. So the same thing. Before we go out to Brian and Palo Alto, let me ask you about Mac's retirement or walking away. How big of a blow was it to this O-line?
I mean, big, because you're talking about a guy who's been there, done it. He's powerful. He's strong. He's seen it all.
Were you shocked?
No, because he's, the body's beaten up. He's played a long time. He's made a lot of money. I would have loved to have seen him play one more year, but I'm not. To me, I think that they can fill in that spot. I really like the kid Poe. I think that when he sets his feet and fires his hands, he gives no ground at all. Now he's playing at the backup, the twos at right guard.
So we should.
But I would not be surprised if Poe. If Poe looks good in the preseason, I wouldn't be shocked if they move Poe from guard to center, and Brunskill and Brendel now have a third guy in that competition. I would not be surprised. Right now, it's been Brendel against Brunskill. I got to think Brunskill's going to have the upper hand there, but I know Shanahan, likes Brendel. They like the athleticism that he shows.
Let's go out to Brian and Palo Alto. What's up, B?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
You let us know.
I'm doing good. I think one of the things, look, we don't know what Trey Lance is. We have no idea. And, certainly we don't, there's combating theories on what Jimmy was, but the one thing Jimmy was a winner. And you look at the top winningest quarterbacks in the NFL over the last 10 years, of which he's fourth, I think, or fifth on winning percentage. There's no flukes there. There ain't no Ryan Fitzpatrick's on that list. And so, to me, like a quarterback, the number one criteria you measure a quarterback on is winning. And Jimmy won, and we don't know what Trey is, right? Trey could be better than Jimmy. Trey could be a complete bust. We don't know. So I feel like the dismissiveness, and it's always been there, Jimmy, it's ridiculous, right? A lot of cities would really appreciate a quarterback that won that often. And then second, I concur with that prior caller on the offensive line. They really underinvested there, and they did the same thing last year.
We kind of lost BPA, but
I thought last year's line was way worse than this year's line. I'm just seeing him in camp last year, now seeing him in camp this year. Last year, they had to cross their fingers and just hope that everybody stayed healthy, and it basically worked out, even though they had to go with Compton at right guard for the whole second half of the year. Now the battle is there's a lot more talent here. I mean, there really is, and we'll see. To me, if you want to make any position better, get a bunch of talented guys in the room, let them fight it out, let them compete for it, and I think that's what they got here. Yeah. We'll see.
When we get back, Larry, we'll clean up some Niner calls, and then also talk about what you've seen and what we've seen in the Bay Bridge series right here on 95.7 The Game. 95.7 The Game, thousands of other stations and millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, podcasts are all available completely free. You can catch every Warriors game live on the app, along with music and news the Bay Area needs. Follow your favorite teams, station, radio shows, and podcasts now by downloading the free Odyssey app. Olivia Newton-John, just Sandy Olsen to me coming up, and that was her role in Grease. She passed away, 73 years old, so rest in peace to Olivia Newton-John. Obviously a talent, but man, and we were talking last week just about our parents, our families, and again, I'm not saying nothing anybody's not heard, but Larry, life is short, man.
Yeah, no question. You got to appreciate people when they're here. You know, you got something you want to say to somebody,
pick up the phone.
Go say it. The saddest thing is when people are like, you know, I didn't talk to my, my brother, my sister, my dad.
And it'll be over nothing sometimes, Larry.
She borrowed $50 and didn't return it. It's like, who cares?
Come on.
Who cares?
Tomorrow is not promised. It's really not.
You know, it's funny that you said that because I was one time, Dusty Baker always had Dusty had such a great perspective. And there'd be times that would come up, he would say, sometimes he'd be around his office and we'd all be standing there. He'd be like, hey man, tomorrow ain't promised to nobody. So if you're going to make it happen today.
It's real.
And I like that. To me, that is the proper attitude. Make it happen today, because tomorrow you don't know.
You know what? And we'll get some calls. A lot of people want to talk about the Niners, and I get it, why. We understand. We'll also get into the Bay Bridge series, Larry, and also Kevin Durant trying to pull a super Magic Johnson super duper power move. But with that, so many different people haven't been touched by death. And when I say that, I lost a parent. When I lost my mother, I thought I had been affected by death. But up until you get that call and it really hits home, that's when you just look at the world different. You'll never not look at it through that prism. And that day I got the call, I've always looked at my kids and even friends and the little miscellaneous, beefs or whatever, disagreements. I'm that guy picking up the phone to get it right, Larry.
Yeah. And also just tell people how you feel, man. Don't be afraid, man. And sometimes my buddies will check in with me and guys I haven't seen in 20 years.
Yeah.
And guys I went to college with and be like, love you, bro. And I mean it. And it's like, I don't mind saying it because it's like, I'd rather say it than keep it inside. So tell the people that you love them.
This is why I love the text line. Speaking of love, when we were talking about father and son, do Archie and Peyton Manning. I'm like, okay. I used to watch Archie as a Saint, but this one, the daddy was a number one pick, Michael and Klay Thompson.
Yes.
Would that be greater than Steph and Dale? I'm thinking, man.
No, because there's Seth.
Oh, you're right.
Then there's Trace.
Yeah, man, all of a sudden hitting the ball for the Dodgers.
Michael Thompson was really great.
Man, 0-0. I tell you what, Larry, let's go out to Lemoore and welcome Dre to the program. He wants to talk about the Niners O-line. What's up, Dre?
Hey, how's it going? Krueg.
What's up?
Heard you on the air in a while, man. It's good to hear you back.
Seriously, Dre and Lemoore, man, we've been taking calls from you.
We met him and his daughter, Steiny, and I. He came
seriously, man, I'm taking these calls since back in the day.
What you got?
In the day. Hey, I'm sorry, Daryle. I'm going to have to call you DJ because you're working with the guru of football right now.
I'm not mad. That's all right. I'll give you that. Go ahead, baby. What you got for us?
All right, Daryle. Krueg. I think the line's going to be just fine as long as Trent stays healthy. The center position, we'll see who's going to start. But Shanahan knows what he's doing. I think they're going to be just fine, guys. The defense around him, Lance will have enough time to do what he needs to do. And your conversation earlier, Bobby Bonds and Barry, the greatest twosome father and son in baseball. Bobby's the most underrated player I've ever seen. I remember winning the MVP, the All-Star in 1975. He was almost the first 40-40 man, missed that homer by about 2 feet in the last game of the 75 or 76 series. Bobby, most underrated baseball player of all time. Thanks for taking my calls, fella. Good to
appreciate
hear you again, Krueg.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Love you. Hey,
right.
I will say
Cool
this, too.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, when Bobby came up, they compared him to Mays.
Well, damn. Okay, cool.
I mean, you're talking about 30-30 guy.
And I'm thinking if I had him underrated.
Oh man! And then Barry, I feel fortunate that I grew up in the Sunset District and
Sarah High School.
And he went to Sarah. I went to St. Ignatius. He was like, my brother was 83. I think Barry might have been 82. And I remember as a little kid,
you didn't see him play.
Yeah, I did. Went out to West Sunset and he parked one in the sand dunes. I would say it was about 50 feet over the wall. And Barry Bonds. And I saw Barry Bonds play high school basketball.
Speak to me on this.
I can remember the jungle games. SI Sarah, all the Sarah kids on the other side flipping the bird. There's a great picture of all these Sarah guys flipping birds, and they're standing behind priests.
Oh,
they're standing behind priests and they're flipping birds. But Barry, I can remember Barry.
Did he who?
Oh yeah, he was good. He was absolutely good. I don't know if he was the best player on the team, but he was a starting player in their backcourt. And I can remember Bobby showing up with Pat, his mom, and they were there on senior night to honor Barry. And that was the jungle game, SI and Sarah.
So at this time, were you looking at Barry, the baseball player, and now he's playing hoop? I know in baseball this dude's he's gonna get drafted, or you're just a rival.
No, it was unbelievable. The bigger story is the Giants drafted him out of high school, could have prevented him from going to Sarah.
He went to A-State.
Offered him $30,000. He wanted $35,000. Now the Giants eventually signed him back in 1992.
No, but you
and
lost
brought him back into the family.
Yeah,
but I mean, the Giants drafted him out of Sarah and didn't sign him for $5,000. I think that was a Spec Richardson move. I mean, just unbelievable cheapness right there. Could you imagine losing out on Barry Bonds for $5,000?
But you didn't know what you were losing out on. If you tell them that now, you're fired. They're probably retired. But I'll say this about Sarah in the Bay: Tom Brady, Craig Jeffries, old baseball player, Barry Bonds, and I'm missing one. I think that those are the big three.
Well, those are the big ones. Yeah. Those are the big ones. They, Sarah's had a great baseball program for years, but yeah, Jeffries, Bonds, Brady. I mean, just the fact Bonds and Brady.
Yeah, no doubt.
That right there is pretty impressive.
You think they've been back?
What's that?
Do you think they've been back to the school for any type of ceremony?
Absolutely. And I think Jeffries, invested a lot of money in their facilities. Sarah's got great baseball facilities.
Craig Barry, he was a hot prospect.
Oh, he was great. Yeah, he was absolutely great. He was dating Cindy Crawford.
Yeah, look at you. Oh, she was hot. Let's go out to Pleasanton and welcome Will to the program. What's up, Will?
What's up, guys? Well, I listen every day, and I'm not a Niner fan, so maybe that gives me a little bit of perspective, but today's comments are a microcosm.
We lost Will. Oh, yeah, it happens. He'll call back.
A microcosm of.
It didn't sound positive.
Yeah. No, it sounded like he was going to rail on somebody.
I'll tell you what, because somebody brought this up, the 415 on the text line. Jimmy does get cut. Those funds. Do you try to go find some O-lineman help now? I know it's late in the game, or is that all for Bosa's contract? Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, they're going to put this away. But you never know what's going to happen. But I got to tell you, Larry, when you said this line is better than last year's line, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're better as far as depth, because look at all the young players that they drafted. They brought in Burford, they brought in Poe, they brought in Zakel. They brought in some players that they didn't have, athletes that they didn't have. Now they still got to be coached up, and a lot of them are young players. But last year they didn't have those guys. I mean, last year they were leaning, just on what they had. Tom Compton was a street free agent who they started at right tackle, and they almost went to the Super Bowl with him.
You're right.
But he was supposed to share time with Jalen Moore at right tackle, just never materialized. So, the fact that the Niners last year got all the way to the NFC Championship game with a Brunskill, and
McGlinchey,
the right side of that line. It's
I've
amazing.
seen them get overpowered, and every old lineman's had a bad day, but I've seen some of those dudes just get. I can remember. What's the guy Curse in Seattle? Not Curse. He won the game Seattle in overtime. It was a Monday night game here. What's my guy's name? He's jobless now. Help me out. The big dude.
What position?
Clowney.
Jadavian.
He wrecked the game. Jimmy fumbled.
Well, that was Joe Staley.
He was
beating Joe Staley like a drum that night.
Clowney, like, whoa. But to the credit, the Niners, man, they got almost to the Super Bowl, and I'll just die on the hill, Larry, that they should have won that game. They were for 50 minutes of that game, I think they were better than the Rams in the NFC Championship game. And now it's all reset with the new quarterback, and Lord knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they had to make a play when it mattered, and they couldn't make a play.
Yeah, you're talking about Tart.
With Tart, but I don't blame Tart.
Why don't you blame it? It was a pick.
It was
you catch it, we go to the ball.
No,
it's over, Larry.
No, Goo, if he had caught that pass, he would have been on the Niners' 35-yard line. They're not going to the Super Bowl necessarily.
But now the clock becomes your enemy. The Rams got extra stress. We don't have possession of the ball. They're about to milk it. We're going to call a timeout, and we're up 10.
Yeah, but you got to remember this. The 49ers got the ball twice. They had 2 full possessions.
But everything changed after that drop. The football guys were like, you know what? We tried to give it to you, Larry, but your boy couldn't catch it, and you still want something?
It would have helped, but it wasn't. You can't say it would have iced the game because they didn't even get first down after that.
If you would have put Stafford after throwing that pick, what it would have did for his mentals, him getting the ball after that, it would have been over.
I just don't believe they would have.
Give me this. Meet me halfway. It would have helped.
Oh, it would have helped.
Okay.
And who knows? It would have changed the equation because the scoreboard also allowed the Rams to put heavy pressure on Garoppolo. And so that, it would have been a different scenario. But man, you're going to sit there and say it's Tart. You had the ball on your own 35. You needed to make several first downs to ice that game.
Happened.
They didn't make another first down again.
13 minutes with Debo not touching it.
To me, if there's one common denominator in the NFC Championship game lost to the Rams last year and the Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs in 2019, you couldn't get the ball to Debo. Debo had 2 touches in the second half.
Do you blame
at halftime
the coach or the quarterback?
I blame the head coach.
Yeah.
Blame the head coach.
That's
Absolutely. Debo Samuel is the easiest guy to get the ball to in the entire league. He's a running back and a wide receiver. You could have handed it to him.
Yeah.
The fact that he
didn't want it.
The fact that he didn't touch the ball in the final 13 minutes is on Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, that's real. And that's what I talk about situation. I can still appreciate his play design, but it's the biggest question mark, Larry. Situational play calling. You get too much is like genius, like you got too much going on. Well, sometimes you need to just stick with one thing that was working, like the Chiefs game. Had they kept running, it would have been a wrap. Let's go out to Alameda and welcome Carlito, Larry, to the program. Carlito!
Hello, gentlemen. I want to talk about this Garoppolo 49er thing. I heard a caller earlier say Garoppolo didn't do nothing. That's a bunch of baloney. The guy was a winner. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to go Stephen A. Kyle Shanahan better be careful because if this Trey Lance doesn't take him to at least the Super Bowl, then, his job might be numbered. Thank you, guys.
This year?
He's your boy's got Geico. He ain't going nowhere. He's got the job security better than anybody. Than anybody in the league, if you ask me.
I mean, I think Garoppolo did a lot of positive things. But when people throw out that record about, this is their record with Jimmy and this was their record without Jimmy. Look at the other quarterbacks they were putting out there. Those guys were not NFL caliber quarterbacks. Nick Mullins,
right?
CJ Beathard.
But you didn't order an Uber or a Lyft to bring you a quarterback that you didn't know of. Those guys were picked. And Kyle, one of his worst things is trading up to get Beathard. Like,
absolutely, third round pick.
What did you? That's what scares me. As much as I love the dude, like that was your project. This dude didn't have the goods and let you down. 2 years ago when COVID first kicked off, I really thought the Niners, when Jimmy went down playing the home games at the end of the season in Arizona, they could have qualified for the offs had they got anything. And they played musical chairs, and Kurt Warner sold me on Mullins, maybe running this. He said these words came out of his mouth, and I came in here, got on Steiny's nerves about maybe he's right. He knows quarterbacks. That Mullins might be able to do more with this offense than Jimmy. Yeah. Please. But that's your responsibility. That's not, we went to play pickup and this was all that we had to choose from. No.
Well, I mean, there's people that will be critical of Shanahan. And, Shanahan is a phenomenal play caller. He's a phenomenal play sequencer. Okay. He's a widely respected NFL head coach. If every coach in the NFL got fired today, he would get a top 5 contract, no doubt in my mind. He might get the biggest contract based on his age. He's well thought of in NFL circles, but Where's the young quarterback that he developed? He hasn't. It's
go
not
time
like you
now.
can sit there and say, well, you know what? You got to defer to Kyle. Kyle knows. Really? Kyle passed on Mahomes. Kyle passed on the ability to draft Deshaun Watson.
Oh, you own it. Let me be quiet.
I mean, seriously. Kyle targeted C.J. Beathard in the 3rd round. Kyle targeted, Nick Mullins. So this whole idea that Kyle is above reproach and can't be questioned. He's an outstanding offensive coach, but his eye for quarterbacks is an unproven element right now. I mean, he doesn't have a track record of picking big time quarterbacks. We're hoping he picked the right guy. I think Trey's a great prospect, but he's challenged himself by taking an FCS quarterback who's quite raw to now bring him along and coach him up. And we're going to find out if Kyle is not just a play caller, not just a play sequencer, but he's actually a guy who can coach quarterbacks.
Wow.
We're going to find out.
Yeah. Larry Krueger, Guru, right here on 95.7 The Game, 888-957-9570. You know what's funny? If I had $1 for every time somebody says, Kyle doesn't like to throw the ball, I think about RG3's rookie year. He was fantastic. Kyle was his OC. I give Kyle that credit. Along with his dad, if whatever in the mix he was, but that was Kyle's project to me, A+. And then he had MVP Matt Ryan, who hasn't been the same, Larry, since Kyle left. So you tell me if I'm barking up the wrong tree. I just hear a lot of Shanahan doesn't like to throw it downfield. Well, to be honest, since he's been head coach, he hasn't had anything of substance like a Matt Ryan. So when people say that's not his preference, I go look at Atlanta, Matt Ryan, where they had 2 stud running backs that helped get him to the Super Bowl, and Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, to where he did both. That's how great Kyle was. And that's what I want to see. But you could say, well, you're not going to see it because we had a quarterback with a weaker arm who you just ran off the stats about down the field throws, which was depressing. So I'm glad that's off the board. But Larry, I'm going to say this. Mike Tyson said this. Everybody had the great Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And right now, Trey's technically not getting hit in the mouth. So you talked about when the bullets are live, how's he going to respond? And let's just say things aren't going good. Not just his fault, but now he's getting hit upside the head like Chris Jones was hitting Garoppolo. I can remember Garoppolo holding the side of his helmet like my jaw, like that's what scares me now that you're not closer to Joe Namath, allegedly, than to Mullins or company, on top of the lower tier quarterback.
Kyle's known as, for the run game, the outside stretch zone run game, and the play action game off of it. But I think if you could make an argument that he's gotten pass happy in a lot of situations, they had run it and committed to running it more up 28-3. He's probably got a Super Bowl ring right now, and maybe he's Atlanta's head coach. Who knows? And to me, there's more examples of him not running it instead of and falling in love.
To me, is the biggest,
and falling in love with throwing it. Sometimes there are games where I think he is a tad impatient and gets away from the run game too much. So, to say that he doesn't like to throw it,
I don't believe that.
I don't see that at all. If anything, I think he's impatient at times and gets away from the run game too often.
Right, 510. Matt Ryan at 18. Goo had 5,000 yards, 35 better after Kyle. My point is he was MVP. And
Atlanta that year averaged like 8.5 yards on first down. It was the greatest first down offense in the history of pro football.
No doubt. I remember watching the Super. I was with Townie, Uncle Townie. It is crib at San Jose. We watched that Super Bowl together. Nobody cares, but yeah, we love Townie. Yeah, that's your boy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Still talk to Townie. So,
in fact, I may call Townie today, talk a little S after watching the Giants sweep his A's.
Can we talk about the Bay Bridge Trophy? So the great Brody Brazil, that's his inception, right?
He invented it?
Yeah, I think he
did. Does anybody care about it?
No! And I'm watching the post game.
And where's it housed?
Well, that I don't know. Sterling or producer E, help us out. I think the mayor's office. I may be right. I think Goo got it. I think the mayor's hold it. Could be wrong, but I think that's who has it.
Does anybody care about it? Like Giants fans, are Giants fans going, you know what? Dodgers have this loaded team. Bellinger's hitting ninth. He'd hit third for the Giants. Padres are loaded. They just got Juan Soto. Screw all of them. We got the Bay Bridge trophy.
I get it, but
nobody cares.
You don't need the trophy. Yeah, we know. I like
it's like the Causeway Classic trophy.
And I watched those.
Sac State and Davis.
I bet on them.
It's a piece of the Causeway. Great.
And half the people are, what's the Causeway? Right, exactly. But I'll say this.
The freeway that separates Davis and Sac.
That I know. Giants still in it? Larry, 6.5?
No.
Okay,
Giants
hold
are
on.
not in it.
The Guru math.
They're 7
This ain't even
games
Guru.
back.
6.5, Larry. And they're playing the team that has the spot right now that you need. So if you
the Giants are like 10 games under 500.
It ain't
since
about
April.
how many games are you under 500. Those are facts. But they got Blake Snell tonight after winning 2 in a row, and I did call the sweep, so nobody's talking about
the Padres are like a hornet's nest that's been poked with a stick.
Honestly,
they're going to come out and throw the beat down
to
tonight.
me, Larry. This is the fan in me. This is the hopeless romantic when it comes to sports. Right now, the Padres are the third wild card. You're 6.5 back, and you play them 9 times. And for the people that need,
they're not mathematically done. But
that's
done.
what I was saying.
They're done, though.
Well, what if they sweep San Diego?
What if?
Then they're 3.5 when I see you again.
I know, but they just beat a really bad A's team
that had been playing good baseball in the month of July.
Right, they've been hitting the ball over the fence. But the A's are maybe the worst team in the game. The A's are a horrendous team. The Padres have just on a different level than the Giants. I will say this though,
only 11 over 500 for San Diego.
The Giants are the real story for the Giants. Is not how bad they are; it's how thin they are. It's like in April they're going to the Padlow Stewie Fairchild, parade of nothing, and now they got Peterson healthy, they got Crawford back, they added JD Davis.
That's big, though. The lineup your margin of error is thin. Yeah, that was big. So they're going to be in the lineup tonight, Larry. So they're healthier than they've been.
Yeah,
and I'm just saying when it's this minute. Everything counts, and why is Peterson leading off?
You're going to put your mortgage on.
The
Giants going to the playoffs?
Hell no! I would just say I'll have my popcorn. The kernels will be bought because we still got time and action to control our destiny to a degree.
It's not over.
Right.
But
I get what you're saying.
They got no shit.
Wait, so what?
Seriously, the San Francisco Giants with this 2 starting pitchers, inconsistent bullpen. Pretty average defense, and that's using average the wrong way. And an offense that for the most part scored about 2 to 2.5 runs a game since the break.
But Larry, all that can change with one game. Just like the A's took it. Just I'm not being funny. They took July by storm, and we had them dead. We left them for dead. They played great ball for the month of July. All it takes is one game to get you kind of going, and you play San Diego without Tatis for 3 games. You win these 3, you're 3.5 back.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
There ain't no chance.
Okay,
there ain't no chance. It's done.
You may be right.
It's a wrap.
But meet me halfway. The math is there technically.
No, baseball season's a long season. They're not mathematically eliminated.
That's how I roll.
They got no shot. They got no shot. They don't score enough. They're not good enough. They're just not. I don't think they have any shot. I think that tonight they'll go to San Diego. They get slapped around.
See,
they get slapped around.
I want to believe you, but I'm like San Diego's so just. I don't know what to make of them. That it may go the other way if we see the Giants win. When we come back, we got to get into Kevin Durant, and we'll get back to the Giants. I just don't know what this dude's doing. We'll talk about it next right here. Larry Krueger, Daryle Guru Johnson on 95.7 The Game.
Football starts this Friday.
My expectations for Trey Lance.
At HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Steiny and Guru continues on 95.7 The Game.
No Steiny today. It is Larry Krueger and myself holding it down to 3 p.m. Before we get out of here in this 2 o'clock hour, Larry, we're going to talk about the great Kevin Durant, get back to the A's Giants. And I'm fired up about Giant Padres, but we got a big boy with us now, and that's John Dickinson. JD, I got to give you credit. I've been saving this from Larry, but I actually told him in the green room, I said, hey, look, I know you were at camp, but my guy JD was at camp too. And he whispered in my ear to the point of, hey, I'm looking at Trey. You know, it's not major, but he hasn't had the best camp. And now this weekend, it's everywhere you look. Can you talk to the masses about what you've seen, JD, from Trey Lance thus far in camp? And it's great to be joined by you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I saw what you put out on the show Twitter as far as kind of the question of the day. Is Trey Lance having a disappointing camp so far? Is it fair or foul? And I think it's fair to say that he is. I mean, inconsistency with accuracy, missed throws. I think yesterday was the day that really drew everyone that was out at practice, including the beat writers, to finally acknowledge what was really a poor day. Bad interception to Fred Warner, another one that could have been pretty bad to Charvarius Ward. And he flashes every day on the positive side, as he will in games, and he shows that he can do stuff on a daily basis that Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't, and that he has the tools to eventually be a great quarterback. It's not an indictment of what his season or his career is going to be, but I do think we're to the point where a couple of weeks in here, you can look around and say he hasn't been great at training camp to this stage.
JD, how concerned do you think Shanahan and Lynch are for these camp struggles? I mean, yesterday, supposedly Trey went 4 of 12. And, that's not even 50%. I mean, Garoppolo last year completed about 65% against the Niner D in camp.
Yeah, I don't get the impression that there's really any concern. They're saying all the right things, both the team and the players, and yet Deebo Samuel with a pretty loud backing for Trey Lance on NFL Network after practice yesterday, and Brandon Ayuk said yesterday that they're not worried at all about Trey Lance, but I think, look, he could go out and ball against the Packers on Friday night and put a lot of this to bed. He could also continue to struggle, and it becomes maybe more and more of a question as we lead up to the regular season opener now, just under 5 weeks away from that in Chicago on September 11th. But then he could go out those first couple of weeks and play much better than he has the last couple of weeks, with a more game plan specific, opponent specific, plan and playbook, and working that in conjunction with what figures to be a dominant defense. And all of a sudden, a lot of these problems go away. It's just a matter of, and I think the hope is, guys, that Trey, he makes enough explosive plays to offset a lot of the inconsistency. And I guess you may see him hit a bomb or break off a big run or move the ball in that fashion, but you also will see that, 3rd and 7, throw to Kittle. Kittle was wide open. The throw should have been on the inside. He throws it to the outside, incomplete, time to punt. And I think there's going to be a little bit more of some frustration from the throws that you think should be made 100% of the time or 95% of the time that aren't made than maybe people would have been anticipating. I'll put myself in this boat. Like, I just thought he would be farther along, and I know, having discussions with others that are around the team, maybe my expectations were a little higher than others. Like, I didn't think he was going to go out there and look like Pat Mahomes, guys, in training camp, but I didn't think he'd be missing some of the throws that he's missing. And these are not throws where it's, the Niner deep pass rush is getting to him and it's forcing him off the mark. These are throws that would be there against any defense that he's just not completing.
JD, let me ask you this, because I asked Larry, and his answer, and I know you and I got down on the airwaves Friday. We kind of talked about it, but I am so excited about Friday's game at home against Green Bay. I do understand it's a preseason game, but it's more than just practice. And you know what else it signals? We're 1 week closer to where it's real. How much do you think Trey is going to play? And when do you think Kyle, if he will at all, share with us his plans? Larry had about maybe 3 series. How do you see it?
Yeah, I hope it's at least 3 series, and I would push to even maybe play him the whole first half. I think he needs the reps, in a big time way. As far as the timeline on when it gets announced, I think Kyle's probably going to address that tomorrow. They practiced over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No practice today. They're back at it tomorrow and Wednesday down in Santa Clara as they gear up for the game. And Kyle's going to meet with the media before practice tomorrow. So I would anticipate that that's going to be one of the first questions on the board is what's the plan, not only for Trey Lance, but maybe some of the other starters. But he needs the reps, and I don't think he's looked good enough to this point where you can say, hey, the risk of potential injury outweighs the fact that he needs to get out there against another opponent and sling it around a little bit and command the offense and show what he can do. I'm not saying he needs the confidence, but I think, some of the chatter that's starting to build up about how things have looked these last couple of weeks, I think it all goes away if he goes out there and looks smooth and confident and comfortable for a half against the Green Bay Packers on Friday, regardless of who's out there or not out there for Green Bay.
It's interesting. We saw Jimmy's last game against the Rams, NFC Championship game. He completed 53% of his passes. The week before in Green Bay, despite the fact that there were an awful lot of Niner fans saying, "Oh, he outplayed Aaron Rodgers." That was preposterous because I think Aaron Rodgers completed 80% of his passes that day. Jimmy completed 57% of his passes that day and almost threw like 3 pick sixes in the second half. What do you think the game plan is going to be with Trey this year? Do you think they will do kind of what they did with Jimmy as far as take the ball out of his hands a little bit, emphasize the run game, maybe have him on somewhat of a pitch count, try to lean on your defense and your run game? Do you think that's the game plan going into this year with the first year starter?
I think it's going to be very similar to the Jimmy Garoppolo game plan in that sense. And this defense looks better than the defense the 49ers have had the last 2 years. It may be better than the defense that they had in 2019. I'm going to hold off on that until we actually see them play some games, but it looks like it could be in that category. So, Kyle Shanahan wants to run the football. Even when he's got a big-time quarterback, he's sure as heck going to want to run it if he doesn't completely trust the quarterback. And I think for this year, again, not an indictment of Trey Lance's future or his career or his ceiling or what he's ultimately going to be, but I think for this year, you are going to see a big-time attention to the running game and a similar offense to the one they ran with Garoppolo and dependence on the defense with two differences, though. They are going to use his legs, and I'm curious to see if there are more designed running plays, read option plays, whatever that is, RPOs. I'm interested to see if those kinds of plays, maybe there are a few more of them than I would have originally anticipated because the passing game hasn't exactly looked as smooth as I would have anticipated it be at least to this point. So I think that's the other part. The other part of it too, and I think this factors somewhat, Larry, into the completion percentage. They are taking deep shots at practice. And I do think running game, play action, look to throw the ball deep down the field, which was the one thing above all else that Jimmy Garoppolo really was incapable of doing. That's the most dramatic difference. Trey Lance has the ability to hit some home run balls. I think they will try off of the play action, off of keeping the defense on their heels with maybe some of the running game things that they normally do, or even using Trey a little bit in that fashion. They're going to look to hit the deep ball more, take the top off the defense, hit explosive plays that they're hoping will offset the fact that maybe they aren't going to be as efficient in some of the shorter stuff in the passing game because Trey Lance isn't exactly where he's eventually going to be in terms of the accuracy on those kinds of throws.
It's Steiny and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. We're joined by super reporter, boots on the ground, John Dickinson. I got a question. I'm rooting for Ayuk, and I'm hearing a lot of rapport between the two, Ayuk and Lance, but what about Debo and Kittle? Do I just assume they're hitting it off as well, or what do you make of that? I don't like it. Just, again, I'm happy for Ayuk, I'm happy for Trey, but mix in some Debo and the other receivers as well.
Well, he's got the chemistry with Ayuk, and he's clearly the most confident throwing the ball to Ayuk. It's also appeared just from the plays that they've run, and I think some of this is just Ayuk's emergence and maybe leveling up to a different tier than he had been at previously in his career. He's seemingly been more open, and that I think is because he's getting himself more. But he's also made some tough catches going up and rising to catch some of these high throws. Bottom line, though, the chemistry with him and Ayuk is there. That is the receiver he is the most confidence in, has the most confidence in. Debo not being out there is, I think, an issue to where they're still trying to figure it out. Kittle's been in and out with the veteran rest days and the like. And Kittle was Jimmy Garoppolo's safety net. I think he's going to be open a lot. And as time goes on, I think he will be a trusted receiver for Trey Lance. But the Debo one is the big one, because that's the one where it's looked out of sync, where he thinks Debo's going to zig and he throws where he would have zagged, and they're trying to get on the same page with it. I know Debo gave him some bad body language on a miscommunication at practice late in the week, and then they immediately went to the sideline and hashed it out, and we're trying to those two are searching, I think, right now, because Debo wants to be a receiver. Yeah, he'll be a wide back. Debo wants to be a receiver, and they're not quite yet on the same page with the true receiver plays. We'll see if they get the flips and the quick swings and all of that stuff that just gets the ball in Debo's hands, where he can make plays by bulldozing people and going by them. But the prototypical, throwing a 7-yard out to Debo Samuel, or throwing a 15-yard pass to Debo Samuel over the middle or toward the sideline. Those are the plays that haven't really been there to this point.
It's interesting. I think he's repped it more with Ayuk than the other receivers, so it makes sense that they're locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the Niners' offense this year is going to evolve from, maybe it'll be slightly less efficient, but a lot more explosive. I mean, Danny Gray is going to make big plays down the field. Ray McLeod, the same. The one that I want to get your thoughts on, I was shocked that they signed Willie Snead. To me, they're stacked at receiver. I love number 83, the rookie big play, Tay Martin. I expect him to fire Friday night. What do you think? It's a 1-year deal for Snead. I didn't see the details, but I don't think it's big money. I think Tay Martin beats out Snead, despite the fact Snead's a 7-year vet. What's your read on that signing?
Yeah, I think it's competition for the 6th spot, if they're going to have a 6th spot. I mean, I think the slots are set with Ayuk and Debo and Jennings, McLeod, and Gray. We'll have to see as far as Gray, because he's flashed at times, but I do think he's going to eventually be a good player. But it does seem like he's, at least for the first couple of weeks, buried with the 2s and buried with the 3s for the most part to this point. But I think he is somebody that brings a different dynamic than the other receivers. But he's obviously on the team. McLeod's on the team. So that's 5 between Ayuk and Debo, Jennings, McLeod, Gray. That's 5. Who's the 6th going to be? And I think that's where it gets into bringing Willie Snead in and just adding to that mix of competition between Tay Martin and Malik Turner and whoever else, Marcus Johnson, whoever else is in that category, trying to figure out, are you going to keep 6? And if you are going to keep 6, who's that 6th guy going to be? And just have a little bit more of a veteran presence, Larry, if Juwan Jennings falters a little bit, and he's not somebody that's having a great camp to this point. I'd put, if we were splitting everybody into 2 categories, I'd say Juwan Jennings is not a great camp to this point. So I think having a little more veteran presence, depth, in case maybe you lose somebody, is probably what that signing was mostly about.
JD, the reason I love you, like Larry, you're not a one-trick pony. You love all sports. I got to just get your take on Kevin Durant. He told the Nets ownership that he wants Joe Tsai fired, along with, Sean Marks and Steve Nash fired. So if I'm Joe Tsai, I'm doing that. And if I'm Joe Tsai, that's good news. Your initial thoughts when you heard the great Kevin Durant said, get rid of them, and I'll stay.
Yeah, that's tough because, I mean, didn't he want Steve Nash to begin with? I mean, I think that was a big part of that hire was, they kind of thought they were getting the poor man's Steve Kerr, I think, and Nash had worked with Durant during Nash's time with the Warriors. That's a tough situation. Like if you're looking at, hey, fire everybody and I'll come back and Kyrie, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think
Kevin Durant, though.
I don't think. Well, I mean, you can do it to keep them, but here's the other thing: you can do it, you can keep them, and you can still not win anything. You can be the 4 seed, and because those guys want to. Kyrie wants to play or not play, depending upon what day of the week it is, and how he's feeling about life, and so to me, there's issue. I would almost be more inclined to strip it down and say, you know what, we're trading everybody rather than coddling Kevin Durant with another coach of your choosing when Steve Nash was supposedly a coach of your choosing after you ran the last guy out. So I don't know. I'm kind of not down with that. You can say, all right, keep Kevin Durant in there and do whatever you can to keep Kevin Durant in there. But to me, if you're doing that, you're still not going to win.
You got Kyrie, you got Ben Simmons, you got
you just got swept by the Celtics.
Harris coming back, but they were injured.
Look, Kyrie Irving at this point and Ben Simmons, they are losing players at this point in their career. Kyrie wasn't always that way, but they're not championship players at this point. They're just not. And they're especially not for this franchise, given all the internal strife and everything's going on. I'm going to stop short of saying that about Kevin Durant because he's so talented. But I'm out on Kyrie at this point. I'm out on Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, last time we saw him, he was afraid to take a layup in the most important playoff game of the year. I don't know, man.
He was hiding on the court.
That's what he was doing.
He was literally hiding.
I mean, at this point, it's a tricky situation, but it just, I don't trust. You can say, hey, bring the stars back. I'm just betting against those guys.
Okay.
They can fire the coach.
I get you.
They can do whatever, and that's fine. That may be the right move, but we're going to look up in May, and they're going to be out of the playoffs.
You're going to fire the coach and the GM.
It's going to happen
for a 34-year-old NBA player who's already had his Achilles blow out and who's played his best basketball. That doesn't seem right.
Wow.
Well, and also you're going to fire the 2 guys that basically
did what you told them to do.
Exactly what you wanted to do, him and Kyrie, in order to get them to come there. I mean, LeBron James gets all kinds of flack for LeBron's really running the team, and LeBron can't be trusted to run the team, and LeBron shouldn't be the GM, and this and that and the other. Well, the rat on the table, fellas, is Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving aren't great general managers either, and them putting themselves together with the rest of this talent has been essentially a complete and utter failure to this point. So, I mean, if we're gonna come down LeBron's road, why would Durant and Kyrie get a pass as far as that goes? I just don't see it. To me, it's kind of a joke that they would even ask for it. But so it goes in the NBA in 2022. It's another great example of all of the drama that we think the Warriors have. It ain't real drama. I mean, the Warriors have it. The Warriors have it great compared to what's going on in all these other markets.
No doubt. I mean, big baller, shot caller, Kevin Durant.
That's what this is.
I want the GM gone. I want the head coach gone. You're 34. I mean, at some point, I think
top 5 player though, Larry.
He's a great player. But I mean, I'm really glad that the Warriors said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks, because I don't want to see him go down that road and all the different things you got to do. I just think there's a diva element to Durant.
Oh, it's on display right now.
I mean, he's battling 12-year-olds on social media, and he's
I missed that.
And then this is revisionist history. This whole well, I didn't have any beef with Draymond. Really? You didn't have a beef with Draymond? Oh, it's all Dieter Kurtenbach that is the real reason. I mean, come on. I mean, nobody. And then they got together, and Draymond and him, validated each other and blamed it all on Kerr and Myers. I thought that was the weakest move of the year.
I would have been hot.
I would say, you know what? Awesome player, but good riddance.
JD, man, we know you're busy. Thanks for joining us. I'm telling you, liquidate all assets. They will be fired probably by tonight or tomorrow. I don't like it, but it's going to happen, and the Nets are going to see the moves that these guys got fired for. Guys, they're going to see if it works out for them.
You think it's going to happen?
Oh, there's no doubt. And Durant's doing this, JD and Larry, because he can't do anything else but flex his muscle. I can't get out the first round. I can't win chips, but I'm going to show everybody, even at my age, I can get 2 guys fired that I got hired. And this thing is going, there's no doubt that Joe Tsai is going to do this.
I disagree.
I'm with you, JD. It's sickening, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, it might happen. And if it does happen, it's not going to be to the benefit of what the Brooklyn Nets are doing. And in fact, you know what it'll lead them to? It'll lead them to, all right, you kept the band together, but you fired the GM and the coach, and then now you're trading those 2 guys next year.
How about KD on the Kings? I mean, maybe he could sign autographs at Arden Fair Mall. Maybe get out on the Causeway.
Too. But you talk
No
about
comment,
34.
Larry.
Jay,
I'm going to end it on that note and go no comment on you,
But
brother.
Jay, help me with Larry on this one. The 34 you have, he doesn't look 34, and it's like Steph. Steph doesn't look his age, so he's still attractive, and that's why Brooklyn will give in. And these dudes will be EDD here in a minute.
Wow, man, that
He's
I don't
an
believe.
awesome player.
Yeah, Steve.
Go ahead, Larry.
No, I just can't see it. They're going to run out the coach and the GM for KD at this point. Really?
Wow, it's happening. That's I could be wrong. Won't be the first time, Jay. Did we lose him?
Did we lose JD?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
I was
Good. He was stunned. He was stunned. He wasn't.
Let me go. I got stuff to do.
No. I'm trying to keep you guys on the clock. I got a clock. In front of me.
We're up against
I'm
it
trying
too.
to make sure I don't give you a 4-minute
Look at
answer
my
here.
guy,
Once I get rolling, sometimes it's hard to stop.
No doubt, Jay. But we'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
All right, you got it.
See you, JD.
That's pretty good. Larry, I get it, and it's not good, but this dude, and like you talked about the 12-year-old, that stunt he pulled, and I'm mad at Draymond for doing that when that came up. I know the Warrior brass had to be like, this dude, but they tolerate him. But this is going to happen. They're not going to let him go. That's just how I feel.
I love the way Bob Myers' swim technique, that whole Draymond thing.
Dude,
it was like he never said it.
Yeah.
It was like he never said it.
We're going to get into more of this. Your thoughts, and also we'll talk about the Bay Bridge series, the trophy again. We'll get to that. Some people want to talk about that, and tonight, which I think is an important series. You're listening to Steiny and Guru right here on 95.7 The Game. Are you a commercial property owner or manager working on 22 painting plans? MB Jesse Painting offers full repairs, maintenance, painting, carpentry, and wood rot repairs. Why wait? Call 855 MB Jesse today or online at mbjesse.com.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
No Steiny today. It's Guru and Larry, California. That's where we're at, Larry, and I'm having a good time. Dude, the text thread, the YouTube and the Twitch have blown up on this KD story. And no, JD didn't hang up. He thought I was done. These guys got jokes on here. But you read something during the break about yeah, there you go. The Celtics may have some interest in KD still.
Well, yeah, it sounds like the Celtics, according to a report I'm looking at right now, says that they remain the front runners for Durant, and with the package, centering around Jaylen Brown, and they're viewing that as a viable package. I mean, why, if you're the Nets, why wouldn't you just try to get down the road? Instead, you're going to break up your general manager and your head coach.
Look, they don't average 25 or 28 a game and shoot 38% from three. Larry, I can go.
But how much leverage?
Steve Nash. He ain't Steve Kerr, and I love Nash.
No,
this would be awful. But what have you done? I can go find a coach and GM. Find that in at the mall.
But I mean,
need Kevin Durant with Kyrie.
You had him,
Harris.
You had him this
Simmons.
year.
You haven't seen that play.
But you had him in this year. You just got swept by the Celtics.
Yeah, but when he came back and the shot gate, vaccine gate with Kyrie, that they didn't have time to really gel. Harris was out much of the year.
Harris was out.
Ben
Simmons
still a
was
head
out.
case. What would Dr. Phil what would Dr. Phil tell Ben?
You're a disgusting fat pig. You gotta push away from the table.
When did you know you can do it? Like, when do comedians know they can do it? You know what? I'm gonna try Larry Krueger. I can't.
I saw him on Oprah once, and I was like, you know what? I can do that voice. I absolutely can. And then he had his weight loss deal, and oh my god!
I'll tell you what,
Dr. Phil made a bank off.
He's an Oprah protege.
Oh my god!
And now your boy on Fox is Acho. He's
Sam
got
Acho.
the book.
That's right.
No, Manuel.
Manuel Acho.
Yeah, Sam's his brother. I
Yeah.
feel like he does ESPN, but it ain't the same. He's doing good, but yeah, his brother's balling.
Oprah's a kingmaker, man.
Yeah.
She'll make you.
I'll say this. Durant did look old.
He's
swear.
34. I mean,
something
you're
was
still
odd in that
giving him.
playoff series against Boston. He looked like Horford. He couldn't get by Horford. I'm reading the text. I agree, but that was a one-off. You give me Kyrie, KD, And it could be you, me, and producer E and Sterling. You got action, but it's going to be Ben Simmons, new and improved. And I'm thinking about Josiah, what he's thinking, and he wants to see this play out. You trade Durant for, again, I like Jaylen Brown, but he's no KD, and maybe the piece works. But what this will signal, one, and you're going to be like, Guru, what are you talking about? People care about social media and controlling it in the subject matter. Magic Johnson ran off, what was it, Westhead, way back when. We seen LeBron maybe had something to do with it. We know he ran off a coach.
Mike Brown.
Exactly. If KD runs off a GM and head coach, he will be somewhere laughing like, look, everybody, look what I did. You know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant.
You know who the last team to side with the coach?
Help me out.
Nelly, the Warriors. No. Chris Cohan said, "See you, Weber."
Dude,
bring me Tom Gugliotta.
One of my favorite Warriors.
Then Nelly left anyway.
Dude, if they would have played anybody outside of Phoenix and Barkley in the playoffs, that team was ready, man.
Oh, awesome team. Billy Owens.
Tim Hardaway was hurt, and they still were balling.
55-win team. Sprewell.
And took Phoenix. Those games were close. Steiny, they didn't have a chance. Those games were close, man. It was just, man, it was almost we believe.
Super young team, too. And that team had Avery Johnson at the point. They were going to get Mully and Hardaway and the whole thing. I mean, it would have been.
Can I give you my Avery Johnson story?
That was a rough one, man, because I was a Warrior fan. I had endured a lot of losing seasons. And by 93.
Weber dunking on Barkley and pushing them.
It was the most beautiful team, too. They played up tempo. They won 55 games. They had Sprewell. And all of a sudden, poof. Gone. It was like, seriously, out of nowhere. It was like all of a sudden it was like some storm front hit you, and all of a sudden you looked around and it's like, what happened to our team? Wait a second, now there's Chris Mills, Terry Cummings, and John Starks in a terrible cap situation.
310 motoring. That's what I think Chris Mills had the car shop. Real quick, we used to Sunday night, my guys used to play ball, try to go pro. Open gym at Chabot, so it's kind of invitation only.
Right.
So I'm in there. Avery Johnson on the Warriors with Steve Nash, who was in his senior year coming out, right? So I'm looking like, I wasn't good enough to make the pros, but I feel like my prime. So I was like, oh, Avery Johnson, even though he's on the Warriors, I put the ball on the floor, Larry.
Picked you
twice. It went the other way. It was like mosquitoes on a big giant. I was like, maybe that's why it ain't meant for me. But Avery was good, man.
Oh, he was good.
They had Keith, Mr. Jennings.
That's right, Mr. Jennings. They had Big Vic Alexander. He was a heavyweight, but he had skill. And they had Gat. Gat had a low post game.
A personalized license plate, I believe, on his Mercedes. Gat gun. Yeah.
This is before the barbershop and before the squatting.
There you go. But do you give any credence to what I'm saying about KD just showing the world how much power he still has? Even though I agree with you, 34, that was odd. He did look a bit older. Guys moving him off one-on-one on the spot against the Celtics. I was shocked. But with that said, there's no way Joe Tsai's saying bye to him. I just don't buy it.
I don't know. I mean, it's not that Marks and Nash are irreplaceable. It's not that.
Okay.
It's just the precedent.
The optics.
It's the optics and the precedent, and it's like, and you're going to kowtow to a guy who, is it going to work? I mean, is it going to work? Who are you going to get to coach the team? Does he want to play with
Jackson?
Does he want to play with Mark
Jackson?
Steiny
gets that. Here we go. Look at you.
I don't like Mark Jackson. Come on. Everybody goes to chapel, or you don't go to chapel. You don't get 20 minutes tonight.
I hated that one. He learned from it.
Yeah. He's even got, outside of this year, never gotten an interview.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think Sacramento, the people, Twitter, it was so hot with when it looked like he was in the lead. I think Vivek Ranadive went with who did we end up getting? Who the Sac new coach?
Mike Brown.
Yeah, Mike Brown. Good Lord. Come on, D. Yeah. Well, I'm happy for Mike.
No, I mean Mike was a better call. Mike was a better call there. But I mean, come on. I mean, I just think that KD at 34. I mean, he's got that much leverage. He's going to run out the coach and the GM at 34, and then you're going to have him there with Kyrie. Does he want to play with Kyrie? What's Ben Simmons going to be? I mean, what's the
you're going to have to find out those anyway if you were to trade KD.
Yeah, but I mean, they just got sweat. They were the favorite in Vegas much of the year to come out of the East. And they got smoked by the Celtics.
Yeah,
and you're telling me the Celtics have added to their mix. Yeah. You're going to tell me that you're just going to switch. You're going to switch GM and head coach, and that's going to change things?
I'm telling you, an NBA,
I don't think so.
from NBA GM standpoint, if you were to survey all 30 of 29 others, KD is at the top of his game still. And you are right. It's the Steph thing.
But how many more years has he got?
How many does Steph got? I would give KD the same amount.
Steph hasn't blown out his Achilles.
Well, you're right there, but I'm just look at Clay. He's medicine marvel coming back from those two
And is he
injuries.
the same guy?
No, he's not.
So
since we've seen him last, I just think he's going to get traded before we're done by Wednesday. I mean, those guys will get fired before we're done Wednesday. I'll bet you a soda.
Okay.
Grown
All
up
right.
soda.
I'll
Okay.
say he'll get traded.
By
I'll
end
say
of
he'll
the
get
show.
traded. You're saying those guys are getting fired. They both have to get
I
fired.
love this. Yeah, both have to
All
get
right.
fired.
All
Oh,
right.
it's 2 for 1. Let's go out to San Francisco and welcome Scott to the program. What's up, Scott?
How you guys doing today?
Good.
I just wanted to touch on a lot of notes. You guys bring up a lot of things. KD shouldn't be brought back here. We don't want him. JP3, J Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, they're going to be, our front runners for, the time coming. I also want to bring up the Debo thing. Kyle Shanahan treated Debo like Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl, if you guys remember that.
Forgot about him.
Yeah, it definitely did. That's what you guys were talking about. And I think that KD is looking for anywhere he could win because he knows he can't win with Kyrie and Ben. Like, how is he going to do that?
Exactly. I mean, come on. The greatest players in the NBA are. It's not about points per game. It's not about all first team, all league. It's about rings. It's about rings. You're judged on rings. So he's looking to get more rings.
And he put this
So's
together.
I think LeBron would love to play for the Warriors and grab a cheap ring on the way out the door.
Yeah, but nobody knows this. Only I do. Guru, my little radars go off. He's jealous of Steph Curry. Steph Curry intercepted 4 rings that LeBron feels like he was supposed to have. Then you get half that and say 2 were supposed to be mine. Nobody saw this little light-skinned guy coming and changing the game. And that's why LeBron wasn't. Did you see the report where LeBron was kind of mad at Curry's jokes that he made about last time somebody did this in the NBA Finals, they lost. LeBron's camp didn't like it. I'm like, get over yourself. I just think there's jealousy towards Steph Curry. LeBron will never admit it. And he's giving Steph love because you look like a hater if you don't now. But I'm sorry, Larry. You give me Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and so we didn't even mention the Curry's brother, Seth. You got shooters, Joe Harris, and hopefully Ben Simmons can get it right. I'll run that all day and forget what it looks like because right now it's a players' league. We've seen that even if this deal is not facilitated. I mean, we know the players run the league, right?
Well, the players run the league.
James Harden, I'm gonna give up and give my wish.
If I'm Josiah, I need to have more assurances than I'm just bringing this thing back. I mean, this is a volatile mix. I mean, to say the least. And there's no proven track record together. I mean, they haven't done it. So it'd be one thing if they'd done it. They haven't done it. And Kyrie, who knows how long
they're friends though, Larry, him and KD.
Who's that?
Kevin Durant and Kyrie.
Yeah.
So it's not like Westbrook.
But I mean, the report was that the KD may have wanted to get away from Kyrie at the end of the year.
And that was a report. I didn't buy that.
Then there was a talk that maybe that he wanted to pair up with Kyrie, just to want to get out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I mean, the whole decision to leave the Warriors in hindsight just looks so awful.
Yeah.
You ran away from Steph Curry to run to Kyrie.
Yeah. They didn't yell loud enough for Curry. They didn't yell louder. They yelled more for Curry than me. Somebody yelled at me. Man, I mean, that's what it was, man.
Then,
did you come here thinking you were going to surpass the Derek Jeter of the Bay Area with the Steph Curry? Come on, man.
KD is a nomad.
Sensitive.
He's a nomad. He moves. He likes to move. He went to 3 high schools. You go to 3 high schools, you most likely like to move.
But for 8 years of his career, Larry, he showed loyalty to OKC.
Did he show loyalty, or was it just kind of like they owned his rights? He had no control, and then finally he had some rights. He stuck it out. Then he realized he couldn't play. He couldn't win with Westbrook, and he bailed. He bailed as soon as he realized he couldn't win with Westbrook. I mean, he probably only went, one extra year? He probably knew a year ahead of time that he couldn't win with Westbrook. He gave him one more year. Yeah. They couldn't get it done. The Warriors beat him, and suddenly he joined the Warriors. Yeah. But then he got tired of what? Why? What did he get?
And it wasn't just Westbrook's fault. I saw him do CYO passes and turnovers against the Warriors when their 3-1 was the Warriors were on their way back winning games. Kevin Durant, his inbound passes, it was like high school. Like, dude, you are Kevin Durant, but it was lemon booty. I mean, when you're in a situation and the phenomenon, you get pressured and you just fold. That's what Kevin Durant got.
How bad is it going to look if the owner ditches the head coach, ditches the general manager, and then
who though, Larry? To Larry the fan and Guru the fan, or
if they have no shot, if the thing blows up in his lap. I mean, it already didn't work last year. Now you're going to blow out the architect of the team and a two-time MVP, a Hall of Fame player. You're going to do all that to appease a 34-year-old player who's already played his best ball. I understand the leverage game, Guru, but come on. I mean, at what point do you start to lose leverage because you've got less years ahead of you and you got more of a history than you got a future?
You know what? That's a great point. We're going to go out to Austin in a minute here, but just to piggyback off of that, I'll tell you what, if I'm Joe Tsai, I know what I have in the players if I keep Durant and the rest of the gang. Steve Nash is not Steve Kerr, unfortunately. So that's just that's nothing in my estimation. You can go find 10 Steve Nashes or better. And then you talk about Marks. Sorry, but I think Joe Tsai owes it to Brooklyn and himself because he's already in it deep to see it manifest and play out on the court at least, rather than say and take those hits, which why'd you put this together? Why'd you trust these guys? And then not and say, okay, bye-bye, KD, but keep Nash and Marks to do what? Rebuild?
I mean, I'm not impressed by Nash, but I mean, Marks is pretty established at this point. You're going to run off Marks. I mean, I realize it's a players' league, and the players, carry all the power, and you win with players. The coach and the general manager are somewhat replaceable. I just don't see it working. So it's like you're going to run off now you're going to be known as the guy who sold out to the superstar, ran off the coach, ran off the GM, and then you're left sitting there holding nothing. I think right now, if you look at this logically, KD with 4 more years in the contract, whoever trades for him, that's the team that I think screwed, because that team's going to be holding the bag with an unable to move KD. Because
he ain't that old now, Larry.
But I mean, at the end of the deal, he's going to be 37, 38.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, to me, if you offload him here, you might be able to get something for him. The team that gets him next is either going to win or they're going to be holding the bag because they're not going to be able to get somebody to.
Well, Boston would be perfect.
Boston would be perfect. But what are you going to get out of Boston?
Jaylen Brown, and I need some other things. That ain't enough.
Yeah.
But they got some stuff. Let's go knock this call out before we get out of here, Larry. Let's go to San Jose and welcome Austin to the program. What's up, A?
What's up, fellas? Great conversation. You guys got me going in so many directions, man. Listen, get off my boy KD, man. I got to come at you, man. KD has been a stand-up guy everywhere he's been. Yeah, he's quirky. He's a little strange, but so is Kyrie. But in terms of great player, there's no question, man. As you said, the players run the league. It's about selling tickets. That's why they would do it, Larry, because they want to sell tickets. Okay, that's the wrong reason. And coaches don't sell tickets. I'm sorry.
No, that's true.
I tell you what, though, I would not do I would not send Jaylen Brown though for KD. I would not do that.
If you're Boston, you mean?
Huh?
If you were Boston, you wouldn't make that move if you're Boston?
There's no way. Jaylen Brown, man, is a buddy superstar.
But the only thing about Jaylen Brown you got to remember is Jaylen Brown's got a chronic knee. And he doesn't complain about it much. I don't think he wears a big sleeve or anything, but I've heard that knee pain that he's got's very real and it's very consistent. So that would be my only concern. I mean, that's the only down mark on a guy like Brown.
Yeah.
He's dragging around a bad knee.
He proved to be more clutch than Tatum. Yeah. Tatum really bothered me, his performance in the finals.
Tatum idolizes.
Wear Kobe's wristband, and I think you got it all figured out, and then you can't even post Steph in the post. Not that Steph's weak, but come on, dude.
No,
man up.
I mean, seriously, Tatum it's one thing to love Kobe Bryant, but you're not Kobe Bryant.
Thank you.
Your game. You needed to catch the ball 3 feet in front of the hoop and
go
and dominate the Warriors inside.
He couldn't,
and they just went away from it. I mean, that's where Boston. If you're looking back at that, Boston had between Robert Williams and Tatum, they had size advantages and athleticism advantages inside. If they had just dominated the entry pass, fed the guy in the lane consistently, they would have fouled out Looney, fouled out the Warrior bigs, and probably had a better chance. And instead, Tatum decided he wanted to kind of play this Kobe rhythm game at the top of the circle.
And it was just
hoist.
Yeah, no doubt. What a word, hoist. That's what he did. What's funny is I don't know if you read Iggy's comments, but he said after game 3 in Boston, they're down 2-1. He didn't say who he went to dinner with, but it was a few players and coaches, and they knew that they had Boston figured out. And and he's a smart dude, and I'm thinking, well, they did come back, and Larry, you said it. Something happened to where Boston quit doing that, and I always think about Iggy. Like, was there something to that when you talk about that just fronting the post or whatever? But Boston should be ashamed the way that they didn't try to take advantage of that side. And Draymond he was rendered useless. He got benched, and you guys still let him get back off the mat and have a big game in 6.
You saw Udoka. First sequence of that final game, what did they do? They went right inside and took advantage. The entry pass at point blank range, and the Warriors couldn't stop it. They just got bored with it because at the end of the day, Tatum just wants to pound the dribble, shooting rhythm, pretend he's Kobe, step backs, and everything. He's a jumbo. He's a 6'8", 6'9" wannabe 2 guard.
I'll say this about Tatum: up until the finals. And the D he reminded me of Scottie Pippen against Durant. And then now people are saying Horford D'd up Durant. Let's just say that was a bad series for Durant. It wasn't Milwaukee the year before. I was telling everybody I could, Steiny, his stock has gone up. Jason Tatum I had him at a star. He's a superstar. So I was sipping the Kool-Aid.
Everybody
came in
the finals.
It was weird. Like, are you on what was Aaron Rodgers taking? The psychedelic stuff. Like, it was that weird. Like, what are you doing? Go to the hole with that body.
Know what your advantage is. Work your advantage. The Warriors could not. They didn't have a matchup for Williams. They didn't have a matchup for Tatum, and it didn't matter. No, it didn't matter.
And that's why we had the parade and we're there. Larry, I had a great time. We'll be right back at it tomorrow. Damon and Ratto next. They got 2 heavyweight guests, Chris Biederman at 3:45, and then the great Javi Lopez at 4:45. Larry, I don't know what you're doing when we're out of here. We got like 10 seconds. I can't wait to see San Diego just because they're the Padres. But if the Giants somehow can win their 3rd in a row. David and Rattle coming up next right here on 95.7 The Game.
Brought to you by BMW Fairfield.
Well. Welcome to you on a Monday, and what do you know? The Giants finally get to the sweet end of Broomhilda. Sorry, A's fans, you caught their two best pitchers over the weekend. The Giants win a couple in a row in Oakland. Joey Bart continues to kind of prove that he's turning it around, and that's a good thing. The bad thing is that the Dodgers swept the Padres, who very much in the Dodgers' eyes are just the same frickin' San Diego Padres as they've ever been. But the Padres aren't the same frickin' San Diego Padres as they've ever been. And I'm afraid the Giants might find that out tonight. We got ourselves some baseball. We got ourselves some training camp to talk about. We have more. Kevin Durant, even though he made his own bet, he doesn't want to lie in it. We got an awful lot of stuff to get into today. Hello, Raymond.
It's fun every day. It's just not fun here. Meaning the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
Not here.
I was about to say, we do work in the toy department. There are worse jobs.
The only thing I could say for myself at the moment of my death is I never did an honest day's work.
Here. That's a truly successful man in my eyes. We have a very, very good show for you today. We will be checking in later on this hour with Chris Biederman, who is a 49er reporter for the SAC-B, and he has been down at training camp. A lot of talk about Trey Lance's, completion percentage. And I'll tell you right now, Ray, I don't know if I can. I might have to mute the word 49ers on my Twitter timeline because I cannot take training camp play-by-play. I can't. I don't know why.
This was what I was screaming about a year ago. That's why I hate training camp. It's because there's nothing to report, but you have to report it. Otherwise, your boss will think you're not working. So you have to basically do. And the 49ers are not the only place that this happens.
Oh, everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's, hi, I'm at practice. I must justify myself. No, you don't. Actually watch things. Make assessments based on more than a play-by-play.
Today, quarterback X went 5 of 11 in red zone attempts with 2 pass breakups and 3 pressures. And come week 1, it won't matter. It won't matter at all.
Well, come tomorrow, it won't matter.
No, it's practice. We're practicing.
Here's the thing. This is one of the things that Jimmy Garoppolo got worked over for last year, that he wasn't throwing well in camp. They went 10-7. They got to the conference final. Did anybody bring up how he looked in training camp at any point? No, because it doesn't matter. The job's been given. The only way Trey Lance loses the job is if he's terrible when games are played, not this. And that also includes the 3 games that are coming up, because you will learn nothing from them. You will project what you want to project, and that's it. Well, he missed that throw by 9 feet, but he looked good throwing it. Or, yeah, it was a pretty good throw, but he could have gotten it in there a second earlier. Shut up. You know nothing. You're tedious. People will not buy drinks for you if you keep this up.
There are a few things, though, to talk about. How players are earning favor in their coach's eyes, how a player who spent an awful lot of the early portion of last year out of Kyle Shanahan's favor might be the star of this camp. Of course, we're talking about Brandon Ayuk. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is going to be harder to sack a quarterback in this league than ever before. And it's not because offensive lines are going to be holding Nick Bosa. It's because there is a story out right now on ESPN about how illegal contact is going to be
re-examined by officials like never before. The NFL isn't happy with all of the non-contact or illegal contact, I guess I should say, flags that were thrown last year. So they basically want to take any notion of hitting a quarterback almost out of your game day strategy, which, considering the 49ers are built around an incredibly aggressive defensive line, certainly doesn't work in their favor. We're going to get to that a little bit later on. We got Kareem Hunt just adding to Cleveland's run up to this season by requesting a trade. They turned around and told him, no, don't want to do that. And we need to talk about a couple of players in the Bay getting honors. Hunter Pence is going to get honored on a wall. Bryant Young gets honored in the actual hall, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, an incredibly emotional speech where he talks about the passing of his son, and it'll kind of put a lump in your throat. So we will have that for you, and we got an awful lot of stuff to get into today. Javi Lopez was on the call over the weekend at the Coliseum, and we'll talk about what he saw from the Giants that he thinks that they can actually build on. What's funny is that they win Saturday night, and Rodon only had 3 strikeouts, but he notched his 10th win. Then the Giants come on back for a 6-4 win on Sunday afternoon, a pair of home runs and 3 RBIs from Mike Yastrzemski. Seth Brown made things pretty interesting for Oakland with a 2-run home run in the 8th inning, but Duvall picked up his 14th save of the year. Logan Webb got into double-digit wins for the first time this year. Still, though, same as Friday, Ray, when they were 6.5 back, they are 6.5 back in this National League wildcard race. The Angels, by the way, are in Oakland tonight, so there you go. And the Giants are down in San Diego to take on a Padres team that's got to be a little stung emotionally. Kind of not the pendulum swing that they were looking for. They got swept, and they got their rumps kicked by the best team, certainly in the National League, if not all of baseball. The Dodgers are a monster, and they batted the Padres around in a 3-game sweep for a combined score of 20-4.
Yeah, the 4 is interesting because the 3 starters that muzzled them, one guy they just picked up off the scrap heap in Andrew Heaney, but the other 2 guys are a combined 26-2 this year.
Yeah.
It's Tony Gonsolin and Tyler Anderson. And that's the thing that I think people probably need to note, is that the Dodgers may indeed have enough pitching to boat race the field, which was the one thing people were concerned about because Walker Buehler's been out, Clayton Kershaw's back on bricks, and Julio Urias has been up and down. But their 2 aces might be their 4th and 5th best starters.
You look at what else is going on in the National League. We had the St. Louis Cardinals have a hell of a weekend against the New York Yankees, who are kind of stumbling in the wrong direction. By the way, Frankie Montas, welcome to New York, pal. Now, he hasn't even pitched in the Bronx yet. He was in St. Louis, but he had himself a rough Yankees outing, and he is about to find out, like, he's going to be in a different realm of scrutiny than he's ever existed in as a pro. 5 hits, 6 runs, all earned. He struck out 2. He walked 3. He gave up a homer. He lasted 3 innings. And already in New York, they absolutely hate Frankie Montas and think he's a bum.
Well, yeah. In the meantime, they also believe that Daniel Vogelbach is a folk hero. And that's the phrase they used in the New York Post on Sunday.
I mean, would you call him an underwear model?
13 games.
He feels like an underwear model to me.
He feels like, no, I'm not going to make a weight joke. He's fun to watch.
I love him.
I mean, 1, he's an absolute masher. 2, he can get up to speed, even though he is, and this is a generous estimate, 6 feet, 270 pounds. He's got a Bartolo Colon-like overhang. But if you saw him go from first to the plate on a double by Mark Canha yesterday, you're howling because he got up to a level of speed where if you thought there was a chance for a play at the plate, the catcher's not tagging him. I'm not even catching the ball. Leave me alone. I am not going to be hosed out of the backstop like, a squirrel in grill work.
The Twins got hosed play at the plate over the weekend. Not that we're really going to talk Minnesota Twins baseball, but I love angry baseball managers. We'll see how angry or not we get Gabe Kapler down in San Diego, because let's just say the Giants have lost 11 in a row against National League West opponents.